In a quiet cafe, a young woman with long brown hair looks across the table, asking why he's there, while Sang-yu simply states he came to see Ji-young. She explains that she's no longer part of that world, desiring only to open a coffee shop in the future, then challenges him, wondering how he, in his 20s, can continue living such a life, to which he replies that he's working hard to improve his own. With a firm resolve, Ji-young apologizes, unable to accept his help. Her words leave Sang-yu visibly shaken, his face etched with a mix of despair and determination. A memory flashes, a stark realization that he knew nothing back then, as a grotesque, fleshy monster with rows of sharp teeth fills his mind's eye. The monstrous form seems to pulse with an unnatural strength in space, its raw power radiating from its crimson mass. A chilling thought emerges. Some symbology is missing, as the creature's form continues to shift and writhe. The vision culminates in a close-up of its horrifying face, a stark reminder of the monsters that haunt his past. As the weight of Ji-young's words settled, his mind reeled, conjuring a vivid, terrifying vision of a world where monsters like this colossal, red-scaled beast emerged from the shadows. In response to these monstrous threats, ordinary people were forced to rise up and fight for their lives. They became known as hunters, and he, who once lived a normal life, found himself among them, facing down the horrors. Ji-young's voice echoed in his mind, asking, "In this day and age where people hunt monsters for a few million won a shot, how long are you planning on working part-time in some restaurant?" As he saw himself, clad in gleaming armor, battling hordes of grotesque creatures. The vision intensified, showing him embracing the power of auto-hunting, a golden glow emanating from his armored form. He moved with blinding speed, striking down his foes with overwhelming force, until he became a true predator who hunts monsters, forever bound to the system of auto-hunting. Lost in the glow of his phone, Sang-yu considers the concept of auto-hunting a passive way to progress in his game, thinking to himself that this is truly the only way to play. Meanwhile, Ji-young, sitting across from him, expresses her frustration, asking when he plans to improve his situation. She questions his choices, wondering how long he intends to work part-time in a restaurant when others are hunting monsters for millions of won. Sang-yu, however, remains unfazed, insisting that only character level up truly matters for now, while Ji-young counters that there's no fun in playing a game that plays itself. The screen displays the game's auto-hunt feature in action, an armored avatar automatically engaging a horde of monstrous creatures. Ji-young continues her argument, stating she would understand if he were playing a character that was genuinely challenging to control or fight with. The game's interface highlights the auto-hunting option, a stark reminder of the passive gameplay. On screen, the avatar delivers a powerful blow, sending a monster reeling with a visible impact. The game continues its automated combat, as the narration shifts to ponder the stark contrast between this virtual reality and the harshness of their own. A sleek, futuristic robot warrior slices through a monstrous foe, its movements precise and automated, as the protagonist reflects on how he began auto-hunting monsters. Back in the real world, Ji-young looks across the cafe table at him, her expression pointed, wondering aloud when he plans to get better. She presses on, addressing him directly as Yoon-sung. Ji-young reminds him that he's no longer a child and needs to consider his future, especially in an age where monster hunting offers millions of won per shot, questioning how long he intends to work part-time in a restaurant. He responds with a hint of resignation, admitting he doesn't know what he's supposed to do with his life either, before turning the question back to her. Ji-young reacts with a surprised, almost indignant, "Huh?" His gaze sharpens as he challenges her directly, asking what she is doing to improve herself, and what the former ranker on Ji-young is doing now. Caught off guard by the sudden challenge, he can only stammer, "Tits." Composing himself, Sang-yu explains that his life goals are already filled with hopes and dreams for a better future, but until he can achieve them, he has no choice but to work hard. Ji-young, however, dismisses his words as nonsense, demanding to know what he's actually doing about it. She continues her tirade, pointing out how everyone boasts about their hunter friends, while he, a college dropout working as a server, makes a big deal out of saving a few million won, which she finds pathetic. He silently refutes her accusations, thinking that he's not the one making a big deal out of it, and that he's merely offering advice for her own good. Ji-young then questions his self-sufficiency, asking how he can be so lazy despite his good physique. Sang-yu, finally having enough, turns the tables, accusing her of acting and stating that, in the end, she is who she is. Ji-young's expression hardens as he continues, asking if she's truly doing well. The weight of his words visibly affects him, his face contorting in a mix of frustration and pain. A low hum emanates from the smartphone on the table, its screen displaying a schedule of tenant hunting, academy classes, and part-time jobs, a stark reminder of his current reality. He knew, deep down, exactly what Ji-young had been trying to convey. It wasn't about marrying a rich man or becoming a hunter, but rather, a subtle jab at his own choices, his own path. He couldn't bring himself to voice the truth, the admission that he'd given up on the hunter's path, choosing instead the mundane life of a civil servant. He didn't want to reveal his surrender, to play it off lightly only for her to question his resolve, or worse, to expose the stark reality that he was no longer her equal. With no other outlet for his surging emotions, he could only unleash his anger. As a sonic boom erupts around him, his eyes suddenly blaze with an electric blue light, a powerful aura flaring outwards. The sheer force of the outburst sends him reeling backward, a wave of energy tearing through the air, shattering the ground beneath him. He collapses onto the broken floor, clutching his head, overwhelmed by the sudden, inexplicable surge of power, wondering what just happened. A monstrous arm, wreathed in crackling red and purple energy, tears through the fractured barrier, its glowing particles scattering into the air. On the ground, Sangyu recoils in shock, the realization hitting him like a physical blow. The impenetrable barrier has fractured. His eyes widen in horror, a voice screaming in his mind that it's already broken, and a monster is now emerging from the gate. He can only stare up in disbelief as a colossal, clawed foot slams down beside him. The creature fully reveals itself, a towering dark ape, its shark-like head and muscular frame filling the space. Its menacing presence confirms the dire situation, the barrier irrevocably broken. Sangyu clenches his fist, a surge of defiance rising within him. He questions why this is happening to him now, but quickly resolves that he cannot let it end like this. He has something he must do, no matter what. Staring directly at the monstrous dark ape, he understands that the situation demands immediate action, a choice between life and death. As his resolve hardens, Sengyu's eyes begin to glow with an intense electric blue light, his dormant powers stirring to life. Sangyu, his eyes now glowing with an inner power, defiantly challenges the monstrous dark ape. As the creature responds with a guttural roar, its massive form lunging forward. Before he can react, a powerful blow sends him hurtling through the air. The impact echoing sharply as he crashes to the ground, barely able to register the monster's relentless advance. Gathering his resolve, he throws a desperate punch. But his fist merely sinks into the creature's surprisingly soft flesh, and in a swift counter, the dark ape clamps its jaws onto his arm, tearing viciously. The pain is immense as it continues to savage his limb, then violently flings him away. He lands hard, groaning in agony, defeated and battered on the cold ground. Still pinned beneath the monstrous dark ape, he struggles, the weight of his defeat pressing down on him. Lying broken on the ground, he questions how he could possibly fight something so overwhelmingly powerful. The dark ape's massive hand closes around his head, lifting him effortlessly. He cries out in pain, desperately trying to break free from the monster's grip. Tears well in his eyes as he realizes the futility of his struggle, acknowledging that he cannot defeat this foe without the strength to fight. Just as all hope seems lost, a glowing blue interface materializes before him, drawing his gaze. He stares at the strange words, auto-hunting, displayed on the ethereal screen. The interface prompts him to press a button to start, leaving him to ponder the unknown consequences of such an action. With a renewed resolve, he decides that any outcome is better than his current fate, knowing that inaction guarantees his demise. He takes a deep breath, the swirling energies of the system interface surrounding him, as he commits to the unknown path, thinking, let's see what happens if I do this. The system interface for auto-hunting flickers to life, its display shifting to a vibrant red as it announces its activation. Suddenly, a massive, clawed hand clamps down on his arm, and Sengyu's eye snaps open in shock. Finding his body completely unresponsive, a chilling realization as he's hoisted into the air. Panic begins to set in, his limbs refusing to obey and leaving him helpless. His legs dangle uselessly below him. As the monstrous grip tightens, threatening to crush his arm, a system message flashes in his mind. Auto-hunting is on. I don't have to do anything to save me. The attack continues its relentless assault. As the dark ape's hand crushes his face, Sangyu feels a terrifying sensation, as if he has become nothing more than a puppet, his own body no longer his to command. Yet, despite the paralysis, a surge of purple energy emanates from his arm, and he moves. He doesn't understand what's happening, his limbs acting on their own accord. It's as if someone else has taken complete control, a strange, unsettling sensation. Yet, with this newfound autonomy, his body executes a powerful, unexpected maneuver. A swift, tearing kick connects with the dark ape, sending a shockwave through the air. The impact is explosive, splattering blood as the monster recoils. A powerful kick connects, sending a spray of blood across the dark ape's leg. His body, now moving with an uncanny precision, had effectively and efficiently hunted the enemy. A wave of disbelief washes over him, uttering a single word of pure amazement. Staring down at the monster, he wonders if this truly is auto-hunting. Perhaps other hunters would arrive soon, allowing him to leave everything to them and escape this nightmare. But a sudden, chilling realization dawns on him, stopping him cold. The monster is still alive, and his body, against his will, is moving to re-engage the dark ape. With heavy, thudding steps, the dark ape begins to stir. Its red eyes glow with renewed fury as it lets out a terrifying roar. The dark ape, recovering from the previous blow, lunges forward with a guttural roar, its massive clawed arms swinging in a blur. But before the monster can connect, Sengyu's body moves with an unnatural speed, his face a mask of grim determination as he prepares a counter. A powerful kick connects with the dark ape's midsection, sending a spray of blood into the air. The force of the blow drives the creature backward. an explosive burst of red energy erupting from the impact point. As the dark ape twists in recoil, Sang-Yu's body, still under the system's control, automatically shifts, repositioning for another attack. Without hesitation, he delivers a second, brutal kick, this time directly into the monster's gaping maw. Still reeling from the previous blow, the dark ape's maw hangs open, a silent roar of pain. As he brings his leg down again, a crimson aura flaring around his foot. The kick connects with devastating force, a purple shockwave erupting from the impact point. His chest heaves, ragged breaths escaping his lips, sweat beading on his brow. He stands over the now cracked head of the monster, looking down at the defeated foe. Suddenly, a system notification flashes, declaring auto-hunting stopped. His eyes widen in surprise, a confused escaping him. As a dawning realization crosses his face, with this strength, maybe I can. Before another system message, KUSK, cuts him off. Overwhelmed, he collapses to his knees, clutching his head, a desperate, what the, tearing from his throat. A heavy thud echoes through the air. As he collapses to the ground, surrounded by the remnants of the defeated creatures. Then, darkness. Time passes, and he awakens to the sterile facade of Garam Hospital. His eyes fluttering open with a dazed expression, confusion clouding his features. Lying in a hospital bed, he stares blankly at the ceiling, his mind struggling to piece together recent events. A thought forms, am I in a hospital? He wonders, before the realization dawns on him. He had been unconscious for several days. The memory of the monstrous creatures flashes in his mind, recalling how some crazy monsters showed up and plunged him into this ordeal. His mind replays the terrifying encounter, a monstrous hand reaching out, while Ji-young's voice echoes, filled with concern, wondering when he'll recover. Her words cut deeper, questioning his future, asking how long he plans to work part-time when others hunt monsters for millions. Suddenly, he jolts upright in a hospital bed, a confused cry escaping him as he struggles to recall the events, his thoughts immediately turning to the monster. Ji-young stands beside him, clipboard in hand, informing him he's been unconscious for 3 days, expressing relief at his awakening, and immediately shifting to the damage his body sustained, including fractures. She explains that the unprecedented damage from the monster attack has triggered close government intervention, offering him her business card as she confirms his understanding. He questions if the Special Defense Bureau isn't primarily for managing hunters, to which she confirms they were already present and informed him during his brief awakening. The government, she clarifies, will provide full compensation for his injuries, covering all hospital fees, lost income, and even the rehabilitation needed to recover from the store's damage. Presenting him with the compensation documents, she assures him that signing them will expedite the process, and he vaguely recalls the mention of compensation. He then hesitantly asks about his hospital bill, prompting a brief, internal thought from Ji-young about his lack of funds and the absence of anyone to care for him after the incident, before he expresses relief. With a reassuring smile, Ji-young confirms she will handle his compensation, urging him to sign the documents at the door. Despite the life-threatening risk he took, the reward of 500,000 won is considered cheap, Ji-young explains, but Sang-Yu simply accepts it as the hunter's standard. She further clarifies that the monster's corpse isn't his property to sell on the hunter's market, as it's a monopoly, and a temporary account has been created for its sale. Ji-young then inquires about the actual value of the monster's carcass, leaving Sang-Yu speechless. She muses that a basic Tier 2 monster's carcass has a surprisingly low value, especially considering the life he put on the line. The value is incredibly low, she confirms, suggesting he focus on his recovery instead of dwelling on the meager earnings, a statement that leaves him utterly bewildered. Sang-Yu considers the difficult task of hunting a ranked C-Tier 2 monster alone, knowing it's his only way to earn money for himself and his sister. Suddenly, a message informs him that they are pursuing things but need more time to confirm the evidence, leaving him utterly confused. He can't help but wonder what the hell this means, and if they're trying to make him work for free. He then questions the purpose of reporting to the hunter's market, since he isn't even an official hunter, before acknowledging the simple truth of his own statement. His attention is drawn to a glowing interface, the auto-hunting system, and he's surprised to see it's still there. He thought he was imagining things, but it persists, though he can't understand why it's grayed out. He tries to interact with the interface, noting that it was blue before, but it seems to be completely unresponsive now, prompting him to dismiss it with a shrug. Later, lying in bed, he resolves to discover whether he was truly imagining things or not. Sang-Yu calculates his potential earnings, assuming he could bring in a few million won each month from auto-hunting monsters, noting that 4.5 million won is what he currently expects. However, a much larger figure flashes across his screen, 600 million won for an arc-ape, as Ji-young's worried voice echoes in his mind, reminding him that he can't keep doing this, especially since he isn't an official hunter, and questioning what would happen if he got hurt. Ignoring the internal warning, he continues to scroll through his phone, waiting for his listings to load. The screen then displays a system interface, highlighting the word captured, alongside status, gender, and emoji, suggesting a successful capture. Sitting bolt upright in bed, Sang-Yu stares at the interface in disbelief, utterly shocked that something has actually been captured alive. A wave of realization washes over him as he processes the implications, wondering if he just made a fortune. But just as quickly as it appeared, the interface vanishes, leaving his phone screen blank. The scene shifts to a modern, multi-story building, its clean lines reaching towards the sky. The older man smiles, expressing gratitude for the good news, noting that without monsters, the pillar is weak, making this a special situation. He continues, explaining that the market's only option isn't a bluff, and that equal pricing isn't an option, before revealing the staggering sum of 600 million won as Sang US hunting earnings. A document is signed, detailing a payment of 420 million Korean won to the seller for providing a shard and a live ape. The 600 million won translates to approximately 326,000 US dollars, a sum that leaves Sang Yu visibly stunned as the older man bows in thanks for their business. The scene shifts to a tranquil view of a city park, a stark contrast to the high-stakes negotiation. Still reeling from the numbers, Sang Yu lets out a surprised gasp. As he stands in an arena-like space, mentally calculating the 420 million, which reduces to 320 million after tax, a sum he internally labels as blaze it. He reflects on the sheer ease of this new income, contrasting it sharply with the 100 million he'd painstakingly earned from hunting over the past 3 years, realizing this 320 million came from simply capturing a monster alive. The thought of such immense wealth is undeniably pleasant, but it's accompanied by a creeping sense of unreality, making him wonder if he's losing his mind. He feels as though he's lost his way in the blink of an eye, the world around him shifting too quickly to comprehend. He doesn't even know what he wants anymore, wondering if he's actually going crazy. A digital display flashes, showing auto stopped, a stark reminder of his current reality. He stares at the screen, a thought echoing in his mind. Try becoming a hunter. In a memory, Ji-young's voice cuts through, questioning his life choices. When are you going to get better? In this day and age where people hunt monsters for a few million won a shot, how long are you planning on working part-time in some restaurant? Her words sting, a painful reminder of his past struggles and the pressure to change. Back in the present, Sang Yu stands tall, his body radiating a new energy, his eyes fixed on the horizon as if seeing a new future. With unwavering resolve, he declares, "Just watch me, because I am not going to fall back down." He recalls his past self, remembering the words he used to utter, but now, a profound shift has taken place within him. Standing in a hospital room, his gaze falls upon a figure in a bed, and a realization dawns on him. The true difference lies in the proximity of an enemy. A thought sparks in his mind, wondering if he possesses the ability to detect any nearby threats. With a determined expression, he decides to put his theory to the test. His electric blue eyes narrow as he looks down at his hand, a strange sensation washing over him, making him question if this new power is truly his enemy. A system window materializes before him, displaying the words, "Auto stopped," confirming his success. A triumphant smile spreads across his face as the system updates to auto hunting, affirming his belief that it reacts to and pursues his enemies. With his hands poised, he decides it's time to fully test the newly activated hunting function. The system hums to life, displaying, "Now activating," as it prepares for its first real operation. He throws himself into a flurry of blows, his body a blur of motion as he strikes a shadowy figure with powerful, mid-air impacts. Each punch lands with a resounding thud, as he continues to pummel the red, humanoid training dummy. His fist, still glowing faintly from the exertion, is a testament to the raw power he's trying to harness. Catching his breath, he glances at the system window, a thought forming in his mind. Damn, auto-hunting is. I'll try it once. With a decisive tap, the system responds, a vibrant red notification flashing, now activating auto-hunting. A moment of concern washes over Sang Yu as the system confirms, auto-hunting activated. He wonders, but what if I get caught by a monster? Realizing the potential dangers, he resolves to prepare himself, dropping to the floor for push-ups. Let's train my body first. Between sets, he consults the system again, reading the detailed instructions, the rules of auto-hunting. As he continues his sit-ups, the system's words echo in his mind. It flares up when I perceive a danger. He acknowledges his current weakness, knowing, it's impossible with my current physical prowess. As he continues his relentless training, Sang Yu internalizes the system's directives, understanding that if an enemy falls, he must stop, and if his body reaches its limit, the auto-hunting system will also become inactive. He pushes through the pain, the system's voice echoing in his mind, a constant reminder that even auto-hunting can never surpass the physical limits of the body. His training intensifies, the heavy drag of a car behind him a testament to his growing strength. Every muscle in his back straining and defined by the grueling effort, sweat pouring down his skin. He unleashes a powerful strike, his fist a blur of motion. Connecting with explosive force, shattering the target into fragments. Debris flies outward, a testament to his newfound power. Finally, with a confident grin and flexing muscles, he declares, "Good, I am all ready." A quiet sigh escapes him, a moment of reflection before his resolve hardens. The time has come to become a hunter. In a world where humanity must endure constant fractures, a person's ability to fight monsters is paramount, and the government sets an extreme standard in knowledge, physical ability, and integrity upon recruiting a hunter. This rigorous selection process ensures only the most capable are chosen, a stark reality for those aspiring to protect humanity. Within the bustling city, a training facility stands as a crucible for these hopefuls, where raw talent is forged into formidable strength. Inside, the air crackles with the sharp, rhythmic impacts of a sparring session, as a trainer's gloved fists connect repeatedly with Sang-Yu's body, each blow echoing through the gym. He grits his teeth, sweat beading on his brow, as he endures the barrage, his heavy breathing filling the silence between impacts. A wry thought crosses his mind, wondering if he should be happy or sad about his improving ability to take a beating, acknowledging that it's all muscle memory now. He then reaffirms his resolve, admitting that despite the embarrassment, he truly wants to become a hunter. As he rests, Ji-young approaches, her voice gentle yet firm, telling Sang-Yu it's time to go. The next day, the results of the physical test were finally being released. As students gathered, murmuring about their scores, Sang-Yu's friend, with his spiky black hair, expressed his relief at passing, though he admitted it was a close call. He then turned to Sang-Yu, calling out his alias, asking to see his results. Sang-Yu held up his paper, revealing a score of 90 points, a number that qualified him for the special class. The document also noted that a score of 80 points or higher was required for special class eligibility. His friend, seeing the impressive score, could only exclaim in disbelief, wondering how Sang-Yu managed such a feat. Later, with another friend joining them, Sang-Yu confirmed his qualification for the special class, though he seemed to downplay the achievement. The empty training room echoed with the anticipation of future efforts, a silent testament to the rigorous journey ahead. With 4 months remaining until the hunter license test, the special class would be overseen by instructor Kim Seung-kwon, a figure already familiar to those who had taken the general class. He sits across from Ji-young, who questions his current path. Wondering how long he plans to work part-time when others are hunting monsters for millions, he silently calculates the worth of $1,000,000, then glances at his physical test results. Meanwhile, a trainer, clearly frustrated, dismisses any concerns about him, declaring he has no time to worry. As Sang-Yu himself focuses on a singular goal, mastering auto-hunting and becoming a hunter. The special class curriculum, he learns, is largely divided into 4 distinct areas. First, there's physical training, demanding he overcomes simulated monsters, and survival training, requiring him to endure even fractures. Then comes weapon mastery, where he must wield anti-monster armaments. And finally, instructor Kim Seung-kwon addresses the class, explaining that true greatness as a hunter isn't just about killing monsters, but about achieving complete control over one's own body. He challenges them, asking if they're willing to do what others won't, prompting one student to eagerly shout about the monetary bonuses. He sits across from Ji-young, who questions his current path, wondering when he'll improve, and why he's still working a part-time restaurant job when hunters can earn millions. She explains that in this era, the Hunter Association manages monster cores, distributing them to hunters who then sell them for profit, making it a lucrative profession. This system ensures that even low-ranked hunters can earn a substantial income, with the Hunter Association taking a cut for their services. Later, in the training room, Sang-Yu observes a specialized dummy mannequin, designed to withstand immense force, with a challenge to please hit me emblazoned on its chest. Instructor Kim Seung-kwon clarifies that hitting the dummy isn't free, explaining that despite its boosted durability, it's still fundamentally a weakling. He then addresses the assembled students, including Sang-Yu, stating that the dummy will retaliate if attacked, before asking for volunteers to demonstrate their skills. A trainer with red gloves steps forward, ready to demonstrate, as instructor Kim Seung-kwon announces that Kang Jae-yoon, the 138-pound dummy, will be the first to be tested by the student with the most potential. With a swift, powerful motion, the trainer delivers a devastating punch. His confident smirk betraying his thoughts about the weak mannequin, even as it withstands the blow. He unleashes a powerful strike, his fist connecting with the training dummy's head with a resounding impact, a single blow that seems to defy its supposed durability. The trainer watches in disbelief as the dummy's face cracks and distorts, its internal mechanisms groaning under the unexpected force. With a final, sickening crunch, the dummy's head detaches completely, tumbling to the ground. A surge of frustration washes over the trainer, his earlier surprise replaced by a furious indignation, as he glares down at the now headless mannequin, kicking its body with unrestrained anger. He continues his assault, repeatedly kicking the fallen dummy, while the instructor and students, including Sang-Yu and Ji-young, watch the unexpected display of aggression. The instructor steps forward, his voice firm, reminding the trainer of his instructions. He explains that the dummy's weakness is precisely why it was chosen for this class, before pointedly suggesting that with his overwhelming strength, the trainer should step aside and allow the other trainees a chance. Reluctantly, the trainer agrees, turning to leave the ring as the instructor gestures for the next group. In a bustling training hall, the instructor addresses a line of students, one of whom, Oh Yoon-sung, raises his hand, asking if he might give it a try. The instructor smiles, confirming, yes, then next, Oh Yoon-sung will. Before he can finish, a stern voice cuts through the air, directed at another student. Kang Jae-kyun, you are bothering the class. I will ask you to stay quiet. A nervous gulp escapes Oh Yoon-sung as he agrees, the instructor then instructing him. Oh Yoon-sung will try it this time. Please enter the ring. A frustrated sound escapes the instructor, while Kang Jae-kyun's face contorts in a silent, furious expression, a single, sharp expletive escaping his lips. Oh Yoon-sung steps into the boxing ring, facing a red training dummy. The instructor observes the dummy, surprised by its automatic repair, yet noting its severely damaged state, muttering that Kang, or whoever it was, had truly beaten the living hell out of it. Despite the previous damage, the training dummy now stands pristine, without even a scratch on its surface. The instructor turns to Oh Yoon-sung, confirming his readiness to begin. With a sharp command of go, Oh Yoon-sung launches himself forward, a blur of motion towards the dummy. He closes the distance instantly, delivering a swift, precise strike. The impact resonates with a sharp crack, as his leg connects with devastating force. The instructor's eyes widen in disbelief, a bead of sweat tracing his temple as he witnesses the sheer power. Onlookers gasp, wondering if the dummy actually fell, as Oh Yoon-sung stands calmly over the now toppled training apparatus, acknowledging the swift victory. A slight frown crosses Oh Yoon-sung's face, finding it a bit disappointing to only get one attempt, while the instructor looks on with a sudden realization. The instructor then addresses the class, explaining that Oh Yoon-sung calmly found and attacked a weak spot immediately, a clean strike that could have led to a capture. He reminds them that monsters are money, urging them to emulate such skill to become wealthy hunters. One student, having missed the rapid action, asks for a redemonstration, while another turns to Oh Yoon-sung, asking if they can request another go. The instructor agrees, but Oh Yoon-sung, ever eager, asks if they can increase the difficulty, noting that the current Tier 1 setting is definitely easy, and a single tier difference could be quite unexpected. He takes a moment to reflect, a drink in hand, on the ease with which he completed the initial training. Despite the previous intense session, the training dummy shows no sign of damage as the instructor approaches, asking if Oh Yoon-sung is ready to begin the next phase. With a quick affirmation, Oh Yoon-sung takes his stance, his mind racing as he realizes this is the true advanced training he'd been seeking. He decides his best approach is to inflict as much damage as possible from the outset, the instructor giving a final command to prepare. He lunges forward, a blur of motion, his fist connecting with the dummy in a powerful strike. But the dummy retaliates with unexpected speed, forcing him to dodge, surprised by how much faster it is compared to his previous encounters. He continues his assault, knowing that Tier 2 monsters are stronger and faster, but his resolve hardens, refusing to back down. A powerful kick connects, accompanied by the thought of auto-hunting, a strategy he's clearly employing to maximize efficiency. With a final, resounding impact, he concludes the session, finding the challenge ultimately manageable. He delivers a powerful, shattering kick to the training dummy, its form buckling under the impact, as he declares that even if he falls, he wishes to experience the challenge. Nearby, among a group of observing students, Kang Jae-kyun remarks that it's good to hear such determination, especially if someone goes out of their way to express it. The instructor, however, seems less impressed, muttering that the situation is utter nonsense. He then turns to Oh Yoon-sung, acknowledging his performance, and thanks him for defeating the dummy so quickly. Yoon-sung, now speaking with Kang Jae-kyun, explains that he didn't learn any particular martial arts, but simply picked up fighting on his own. The instructor then addresses the entire group, announcing that everyone should give a round of applause for Oh Yoon-sung, before instructing them to get ready for their next lesson. Yoon-sung simply responds with a polite, yes. Later, a sign indicates a conference room, suggesting a change of location. Inside, the instructor asks Yoon-sung if he would like to join their class, to which he agrees, stating he'd like to experience it. He reviews the system's analysis of his recent performance, which highlights his overwhelmingly good balance and equally trained physique, confirming that his progress is a direct result of his dedicated training. Afterward, he sits across from his instructor, who offers a warm smile. The instructor leans in, extending an offer he hopes will pique his interest. The neon glow of a rub chicken restaurant illuminates the night, its broadcasting office sign visible above. Inside, a lively group raises their glasses in a toast, celebrating a recent success. Among them, Young, scrolling through her phone, remarks on a decision she's made, then looks up, recalling the instructor's impressive performance with a training mannequin. She questions if he made the decision alone, wondering if he consulted his dating agency. While a deeper truth is revealed, the mannequin was actually a new type of monster from a dungeon. He denies having thought that far ahead, prompting her to ask if he's truly serious. Yu-young reminds him of his popularity, suggesting someone like him would have received numerous offers, a thought that causes the instructor to ponder an offer he'd heard about. Later, alone in an office, the instructor answers a phone call, confirming his identity. His hand firmly grips the receiver. As he considers the recent phone call, the instructor finds himself across a table from a man in a crisp suit, who reiterates the agency's offer, asking if he understands the terms. The instructor's mind flashes back to a recent encounter, a powerful kick connecting with a monstrous foe, a reminder of the raw strength he possesses. Back in the office, the agency representative explains that the offer is for a partnership, assuring him it would be a mutually beneficial arrangement. The instructor, however, remains cautious, questioning the inherent risks involved in such a venture. Later, alone in his office, he pores over the detailed contract, the terms outlining his physical prowess and potential contributions. A moment of hesitation crosses his face as he weighs the gravity of the decision before him. The agency representative's words echo in his mind, emphasizing the unique nature of the offer and the promising future it could bring. With a firm resolve, he finally agrees, ready to embark on this new path. As he reviews the contract, the instructor questions the simplicity of the terms, wondering if it's truly as straightforward as it seems. The agency representative assures him it is, explaining that the information regarding the contract's contents is easily accessible and that the agency has passed all necessary checks. A flicker of surprise crosses the instructor's face, his eyes widening slightly at the implications. The representative continues, detailing how the agency handles scene examination and provides funding, and that the contract text itself contains information that has never been publicly known until now, all within the document. He explains that the agency looks for individuals who can handle the unexpected, and that the instructor's reputation precedes him, making him an ideal candidate. The representative then clarifies that if the instructor goes out of his way to say so, he would like to experience it, marking a new chapter for both of them. With a confident gesture, the representative emphasizes that all the instructor has to do is agree, and the partnership will begin. Looking up, the instructor addresses the representative by name, asking Yun-sung if he's truly listening to his concerns. Later, back in the training hall, his students are buzzing with excitement, discussing how everyone is talking about their training methods and sharing their experiences. He listens intently as one of his students, Oh Yun-sung, confidently declares his genius and ability to learn well, prompting the instructor to question his words. The instructor's expression hardens, demanding to know if Yun-sung thinks this is some kind of joke. Nearby, Yu-young offers a quiet, almost resigned, yes, as the tension escalates. His face contorted in anger, the instructor points a furious finger, his voice a sharp accusation. You. Closing the distance in an instant, he grabs Oh Yun-sung by the collar, his words a snarl. Don't ignore me, you son of a bitch. Holding the student aloft, the instructor's fury boils over as he declares his intent to humiliate him, believing even a faster opponent wouldn't be as serious as he is. Oh Yun-sung's eyes widen in shock and fear, his face a mask of terror as he's held captive. The instructor's face remains a picture of intense rage, his words cutting as he warns Yun-sung about picking a fight with him. Looking down, his expression now subdued, Oh Yun-sung mutters that he can understand why the instructor acts the way he does, given his age. Oh Yun-sung, still held firmly by his collar, finally concedes, his voice barely a whisper as he agrees to the instructor's terms. The instructor releases his grip, and Oh Yun-sung, visibly shaken, struggles to regain his composure, a faint sorry, everyone escaping his lips as he glances at the other students. Kang Jae-kyun and Yu-young watch the scene unfold, their expressions a mix of concern and understanding, as Oh Yun-sung offers a more direct apology to them. Later, outside the training facility, Oh Yun-sung stands alone on a bustling street, the city lights reflecting in his thoughtful gaze. He pulls out his phone, a message from an unknown number catching his attention, asking if he has time to talk. Curiosity piqued, he responds, confirming his availability, and the sender immediately suggests a meeting. Soon after, Oh Yun-sung meets with Yun-sung, a representative from the Hunter Agency, who greets him with a friendly smile and an outstretched hand. Yun-sung explains that he's been looking for him, and Oh Yun-sung, still processing the unexpected encounter, asks what he wants. As the conversation continues, Oh Yun-sung walks away, deep in thought, the implications of this new meeting weighing heavily on his mind. Yun-sung speaks into his phone, addressing the person on the other end. Chong-hoon, it's me. He then confidently declares, yes, I think I found the perfect candidate. When asked who, he elaborates, describing the young man as just a commoner who hasn't even awakened his abilities yet. A smirk plays on his lips as he adds, this man will surely become the best of the best. With a month remaining until the final test, Oh Yun-sung pushes himself in training. Knowing he must be ready for all possibilities and cover every base, especially the one area where he feels weakest, he focuses intently on improving that particular skill. Suddenly, a strange, glowing yellow slot appears before him, causing him to question its nature. The slot bears a striking resemblance to a system interface, a feature he hadn't encountered before. Holding a small, blue potion-like item, he wonders about its connection to the mysterious slot, confused by its sudden appearance. Driven by curiosity, he attempts to insert the blue item into the glowing yellow opening, discovering that it fits perfectly. A surge of energy emanates from the now inserted item, filling him with awe, though he remains uncertain of its function. He continues his rigorous experimentation, trying to understand the potion's properties and how to best utilize its mana, observing it intently before a subtle interaction occurs. The system explains that it's simply a matter of the mana contained within, instructing him to jump, breathe it in, and swallow it whole, leaving him momentarily confused by the unusual method. Following the bizarre command, he notes a little bitter taste as the potion takes effect. With the potion consumed, he finally understands the purpose of the utility slots, realizing their potential for enhancing his abilities. He reflects on the system, comparing it to a game, yet acknowledging the seriousness of his situation, resolving to use these slots to become stronger, and refusing to give up on his path. He envisions himself as a hunter with limitless power and duration, recognizing this as his ultimate chance to change his destiny. 1 month later, the day of the hunter license exam arrives, marked by the sight of a wrecked vehicle, a grim reminder of the dangers ahead. As a black van pulls up, a woman announces their arrival, urging everyone to go. Oh Yoon-sung, alongside Kang Jae-kyun, Yu-young, and Yoon-sung, proceeds towards the examination site, ready for the final test. As he presses a button, a new training ground materializes around him. He reflects on his progress, knowing he can grow even stronger here. A month passes quickly, and his body feels healthier, more robust than ever before. He acknowledges the change with a quiet hum, his focus already shifting to the next challenge. Finally, the day of the hunter license exam arrives, bringing with it a mix of anticipation and nerves. Yu-young admits her anxiety, but Kang Jae-kyun reassures her, while Yoon-sung adds a word of encouragement, urging them to do their best. Meanwhile, a sleek red sports car speeds towards the venue, carrying Jae-hyuk Lee, a determined hunter who vows to ensure the exam's success for those he protects. As the car screeches to a halt, Yu-young calls out for her companions to wait, but Oh Yoon-sung, eager to begin, declares he will go first. The powerful vehicle comes to a dramatic stop, its presence commanding attention. A buzz spreads through the crowd as Jae-hyuk Lee emerges from the car, his arrival announced with a flourish. Yu-young recognizes him as the B-rank hunter from the last exam, while Yoon-sung, observing the commotion, realizes he'll need to act quickly to secure a good position on a team. As the hunter license exam begins, a familiar figure makes a flashy entrance, drawing all eyes. It is Jae-hyuk Lee, a B-rank hunter known for his arrogance, who declares his intention to dominate the exam. Meanwhile, Yu-young, observing the situation, recalls the rumors surrounding him, specifically about his younger sister, who is also participating in the exam. Yoon-sung expresses his surprise at Jae-hyuk Lee's presence, while Oh Yoon-sung notes that the exam is already getting complicated, and Yu-young, with a sharp gaze, confirms that he is indeed here. Yu-young dismisses any anxiety, stating that the exam's outcome has already been decided, a sentiment Oh Yoon-sung echoes with a knowing smirk. Yoon-sung, however, questions her confidence, asking if she's truly sure. Jae-hyuk Lee then approaches Yu-young, asking if she's the one who passed the preliminary exam with a perfect score, and upon her confirmation, he condescendingly remarks that she must be the little sister of the hunter agency's director. Yu-young, unfazed, simply asks if he has a problem with that, to which Jae-hyuk Lee replies that he doesn't, but warns her not to get in his way. The rest of the group watches, clearly annoyed by his attitude. He then turns to Yoon-sung, asking about the third rates he's brought along, a comment that visibly irritates Yoon-sung, who retorts that they will try their best. Jae-hyuk Lee dismisses this, stating he'll apologize if they manage to achieve anything. Finally, Jae-hyuk Lee confronts Oh Yoon-sung, asking if he's still here, a question that makes Oh Yoon-sung clench his fist in frustration, wondering what more he could possibly want. Jae-hyuk Lee then taunts him, asking what he's still doing, implying his presence is insignificant, his words dripping with disdain as he continues to belittle the protagonist. As the previous confrontation fades, Oh Yoon-sung finds himself caught off guard, his eyes widening in disbelief as a figure in a brown coat moves with impossible speed, a mere blur of motion. He can only manage a stunned, "Huh? Wow, amazing." The sudden, inexplicable movement leaves him reeling, his mind struggling to comprehend what just happened as he and the swift figure continue to move, a flurry of questions forming in his thoughts. The brown-coated figure then turns to him, asking casually, "Anything you need?" Oh Yoon-sung, still processing the event, thinks to himself that the man moved so fast he couldn't even follow him with his eyes, yet the more he looks, the more he seems to understand. Unable to contain his curiosity any longer, Oh Yoon-sung confronts him directly. "Hey you, just how did you move your body to be like that?" The instructor addresses the trainees, explaining that even if he were to fail, he would still want to experience the challenge. Meanwhile, Jae-hyuk Lee observes the scene, a slight frown on his face as he wonders why this person seems so familiar. He acknowledges the strange feeling, admitting it's a bit creepy. The trainees, including Oh Yoon-sung, Kang Jae-kyun, and Yu-young, watch with a mix of awe and apprehension. Jae-hyuk Lee then approaches the instructor, expressing his curiosity about the instructor's power, to which the instructor simply replies with a polite, "Thank you." Suddenly, the instructor grabs Oh Yoon-sung by the arm and effortlessly lifts him into the air, demonstrating his incredible strength as Oh Yoon-sung exclaims in shock. He continues his demonstration, explaining that he didn't realize Sungjin possessed such a unique fighting style, while Oh Yoon-sung, still reeling from the impact, expresses surprise at the instructor's prowess. Even if it means falling, he insists on experiencing every aspect of the challenge. Pleased with the trainee's determination, he then turns to a training dummy, extending a hand as if in greeting. A slight smile plays on his lips as he declares they will attempt the next phase of training. He then opens the floor to all confident trainees, inviting them to try the exercise themselves, while Oh Yoon-sung nervously questions the intensity of the cuffs used in the demonstration, and Kang Jae-kyun expresses his awe at the instructor's unexpected strength. Elsewhere, Yu-young suddenly confronts Jae-hyuk Lee, questioning his unexpected presence. A few days later, the scene shifts to the Hunter Association's dedicated training room, where a new phase of their development is about to begin. Addressing the assembled trainees, Yoon Sung announces that the Hunter Association has prepared a special training program specifically for them. He clarifies that the primary objective is to clear a dungeon within a strict time limit, signaling the official commencement of the full-fledged Hunter training program. He continues, explaining that the Hunter Association has received numerous reports of trainees sustaining injuries during the program, which is why they are now required to take responsibility for their own well-being. The screen behind him displays a countdown timer, as he clarifies that the time limit for the dungeon clear will be determined by the number of participants. He then points to a graph showing fluctuating numbers, revealing that the number of participants has been inconsistent, leading to a violation of the rules for an official training program. With a stern expression, he announces that the current training will be a team exercise, where everyone must capture a monster alive. The trainees react with shock and disbelief, as he reiterates the crucial condition: you will have to capture the monster alive in this test. He then moves on to the equipment, explaining that the dungeon dimensions are small, so only minimum equipment is allowed, with a visual of a female trainee demonstrating the gear. A screen illustrates the safe and out conditions, showing that a certain amount of damage is acceptable, but reaching a critical threshold will result in an electric shock and immediate disqualification. He looks out at the trainees, who appear visibly nervous, and warns them that they might encounter something they've never seen before. With a slight smile, he concludes by stating that capturing the monster is the most important part of the exam, and then the system will assign them to a dungeon. As the system's voice echoes, the trainees find themselves in a vast, desolate arena, the test conditions far more brutal than anticipated. This isn't just a dungeon, it's a jungle where monsters and hunters are all human. The rules are simple, yet terrifying. A battle royale where everyone turns against each other, and only the last one standing is deemed worthy to pass the exam. Oh Yoon-sung can only stare in disbelief. This isn't a test of skill against monsters, but a desperate hunt where humans are both the prey and the predator. Kang Jae-kyun looks on, his expression grim, as the reality of the situation sinks in. Yu Young, her eyes wide with concern, wonders if they'll truly have to fight each other, while Jae-hyuk Lee, with a slight smirk, acknowledges the difficulty ahead. Oh Yoon-sung, however, simply clenches his fist, a silent resolve hardening his gaze. He knows this will be a hard time, but he's ready to show them all they're wrong, vowing to experience it and prove his worth. Oh Yoon-sung finds himself in a stark, dark void, contemplating the rules of the exam. He realizes he shouldn't have to fight endlessly, but instead needs to focus on finding points, a challenging task given that only 30 people have ever achieved a high score. Suddenly, a startling realization hits him, his eyes widening behind the helmet. The void around him dissolves, replaced by a breathtakingly realistic environment, prompting him to exclaim, "My God, it's a real jungle." Gazing up at the clear blue sky and white clouds, he notes the uncanny resemblance to a game, while a system message confirms that other candidates have already entered the area. With a surge of resolve, Oh Yoon-sung shifts into a ready stance, declaring that they will begin the exam. His gaze sharpens, a fierce determination etched onto his face behind the visor. As he lunges forward, ready to face whatever challenges await in what he knows is the hunter's exam. The virtual jungle environment materialized around him, a blur of motion as he charged forward. Suddenly, an armored figure burst from the foliage, declaring, impatiently, the hunt is over. Oh Yoon-sung, caught completely off guard by the sudden ambush, could only manage a surprised gasp. The attacker's fist, glowing with blue energy, connected with a sharp impact, sending him reeling. He crashed hard onto the ground, a shower of yellow particles erupting around him, the force of the blow momentarily stunning him. Lying there, he quickly regained his focus, thinking, no matter, since this is a battle. Well, it's about time for me. His arm twitched, ready to move, as he resolved. Anyway, I just need to keep going. The scouting lobby buzzes with anticipation as the instructor addresses the gathered students, explaining that this year's exam will deviate from the usual format. He continues, his voice carrying a hint of amusement, asking if they aren't excited by the prospect of the unexpected. Before anyone can fully process his words, a sudden, brutal impact sends Oh Yoon-sung reeling, a sharp gasp escaping him as he's caught completely off guard. The red-armored attacker follows through with another devastating blow, propelling him violently through the air. As Oh Yoon-sung lies stunned on the ground, the instructor looks down at him, musing aloud about the harshness of the test, wondering if the participants might simply give up. His thoughts drift to another student, one who often skipped Jae-hyuk Lee's classes, and he scoffs at the idea that she couldn't even defeat a Tier 3 monster despite her gifts. A wide, mocking grin spreads across the instructor's face as he continues to taunt Oh Yoon-sung, declaring that his current performance confirms all the rumors about him. The instructor's laughter echoes through the lobby, joined by the nervous chuckles of other students, as he proclaims the school king a genius and suggests everyone else is too afraid to look foolish. Despite the humiliation and the pain, Oh Yoon-sung's eyes harden with resolve, a fierce determination burning within him. As the hunter's exam continues, the instructor engages with a participant named Dong-hoon, who expresses his interest in experiencing the exam, even if it means failure, and mentions having heard of the instructor's recent feats. The instructor finds his flattery amusing, asking if he's seen the live cam footage, and Dong-hoon confirms, adding that his sister's skill is truly amazing. Meanwhile, in another part of the facility, Yu Young reflects on the exam, thinking that while her sister showed her how to handle things, this exam won't be easy for anyone, especially if her sister is the student they're talking about. Back with the instructor, he muses about someone needing to be taught a lesson, to which Dong-hoon quickly apologizes, perhaps misinterpreting the comment as directed at him. The instructor dismisses his apology, then turns his attention to a screen, observing the auto-hunting system, a feature that allows participants to automatically hunt monsters, noting that it's a good way to earn points without direct engagement. As the hunter's exam is conducted within a dense forest, the instructor emphasizes that scouting is the most crucial skill, urging the participants to keep it in mind. He specifically warns one student, Jae-heek, not to get overconfident, reminding him that even the most skilled can miss an easy target and fail. With the students visibly nervous, the instructor declares that it's time to begin. His final words echo through the hall, a stern reminder to try their best. A few moments later, deep within the jungle, an armored participant moves through the dense undergrowth. Spotting something valuable, he mutters that this will do. Collecting the items, he feels satisfied, believing he now has enough. The ginseng he crafted from the jungle herbs possesses a good amount of concentration relief, along with a healing effect. A sudden, powerful impact sends the armored participant reeling, green energy flaring around him as he's violently thrown through the air. His masked face registers pure shock, unable to comprehend the force of the attack. The female attacker had appeared out of nowhere, and before he could even react, she had already disarmed her opponent with blinding speed. She remarks on his unexpected resilience, while he can only utter a confused sound. As she launches her next strike, which he barely manages to block, she challenges his ability to defend, calling out his name, Oh Yun-sung. The realization hits him. She knows his identity. He recognizes her as the one who displayed overwhelming power during the orientation. He muses that she doesn't seem to like him, concluding that she must be quite adventurous to attack so boldly. Her assault continues with a swift, whistling motion, forcing him to remain on the defensive. With green energy flaring around him, Oh Yun-sung braces himself for the next wave of her relentless offensive. He barely registers the descending leg, his mind still reeling from the previous assault, a single thought burning through his shock. You, cocky bastard. Before he can react, the armored figure connects with a brutal kick to his midsection, sending him flying. The impact lifts him completely off his feet. And before he can even hit the ground, the attacker sweeps his legs out from under him, slamming him down. She lifts him effortlessly into the air, and with a brutal motion, slams him back down. The ground shatters beneath him, a testament to the overwhelming force of the blow. Standing over his prone form, the armored figure finally speaks, her voice cold and clear. I'm not interested in fighting you. Oh Yun-sung, battered and defeated, can only manage a message, as she continues. I'm just here to deliver a message. You're the one who's going to be eliminated. Still reeling from the previous blow, he cries out as another powerful strike connects, sending him further off balance. The force of the impact lifts him from his feet, sending him flying through the air. From the sidelines, the other students watch in disbelief, one exclaiming that the display is simply crazy. Another remarks on the attacker's overwhelming strength, easily defeating their team's youngest and strongest. They continue to discuss the shocking turn of events, wondering if it's the attacker's fault for not holding back, or if Oh Yun-sung's previous top ranking in the exam was misleading, as they'd never truly seen him fight like this before. The armored figure stands victorious over the fallen trainee, confirming the identity of the defeated as Oh Yun-sung. After 3 grueling hours of a one-on-one battle between the two top candidates, with only 20 minutes remaining in the hunter's exam, Kang Jae-kyun's voice cuts through the tense silence, questioning his opponent's resolve. He presses on, his words laced with a challenge, implying the inevitable end of the prolonged struggle. Meanwhile, Oh Yun-sung, his face partially obscured by his helmet, endures the relentless pressure, both forces in this exam proving equally amazing, with the difference in their abilities so minimal it's impossible to tell who's stronger. His body, however, is failing him, unable to keep up with his will, leaving him too tired to even think, as he grunts in pain, cursing the protective gear that hinders him. The red armored figure reels from a series of unseen blows, the air around him distorting with the speed of his attacker, who seems to vanish and reappear in an instant. Confused and disoriented, the armored opponent frantically searches for his elusive foe, wondering where the swift hunter could have disappeared to. But before he can react, another devastating impact slams into his back, the force throwing him forward. However, the armored figure's counterattack is swift and brutal, catching Oh Yun-sung mid-movement and sending a shockwave of pain through him. The blow connects with crushing force, leaving him vulnerable to a follow-up strike that sends him sprawling. Lying defeated on the ground, Oh Yun-sung questions if the fight is truly over, a part of him longing for the rest that surrender might bring. As he struggles with his thoughts, a voice cuts through his despair, offering a stark choice: continue the fight or retreat. The agency representative, Yun-sung, stands over him, explaining that giving up means immediate replacement by another candidate, as he can always find someone else to fill the spot. Looking down at Oh Yun-sung, the representative clarifies that while he doesn't tolerate compromise or surrender, he can offer one condition: If Yoon Sung doesn't want to be replaced, he simply cannot lose. Oh Yoon Sung, battered but resolute, declares his intent to experience the fight fully, even if he falls, as Yoon Sung acknowledges his determination. Meanwhile, the armored opponent advances, his heavy boot crushing the ground beneath him, moving with an unstoppable momentum. A crimson aura flares around his arm as he prepares another strike, demanding that Yoon Sung endure the onslaught at all costs, for if he loses after creating this auto-haunt, it would be a good fortune. Yoon Sung cries out in shock and pain as the blow connects, while the armored figure asserts his inevitable victory, challenging him to see who will win in the end. Without pause, the armored opponent targets Yoon Sung's leg, declaring his intent to take down this annoying modern soldier, delivering a powerful, energy-infused punch that sends shockwaves through the air. Reeling from the relentless assault, Yoon Sung questions the opponent's brutal tactics, as Yoon Sung reminds him of the strength needed to protect those he cares for. Yoon Sung then turns, introducing a young woman as Jae-heek's little sister. The red armored attacker drives a powerful, energy-infused punch into Oh Yoon Sung's gut, the force of the blow echoing through the arena. His leg buckles under the assault, and a desperate thought flashes through his mind. Did my stamina truly run out? Another brutal strike connects, sending him sprawling to the ground. The armored opponent looms over him, declaring the end of the fight, as Oh Yoon Sung lies defeated. Watching from a distance, Yoon Sung dismisses the notion of his defeat, a powerful impact echoing from the arena below. The red armored attacker delivers one final, crushing blow, the impact shaking the very ground. The young woman beside Yoon Sung admits she can barely see the struggling figure, but he simply states that Oh Yoon Sung is still standing, still fighting to rise. A voice announces that the exam has officially concluded, and the participants are now free to finish. All trainees are instructed to return to school and follow the rules, as the monster will be disposed of. As the exam concludes, the red armored attacker seems to process the outcome, a detached thought of well, then, crossing its mind, followed by a realization of what lucky timings, before a frustrated damn escapes it. Meanwhile, the official results are tallied, revealing that the highest-ranking candidates, Lee Jae-gol and Oh Yoon Sung, have both survived the rigorous examination, each reaching a rank of B or higher, a testament to their skill within the auto-hunting system. As the exam concludes, the instructor addresses the gathered participants, thanking them for their efforts. A sudden, unexpected announcement causes a ripple of confusion and surprise among the students, their hands clenching, eyes widening in disbelief. The instructor reveals the shocking truth. Lee Jae-heek has lost, and Oh Yoon Sung is the only one left standing. Kang Jae-kyun questions if this means Yoon Sung achieved the highest score, but the instructor clarifies that scores are based on individual contribution, with the goal of identifying the most suitable candidate. The final scores are then displayed, confirming Oh Yoon Sung's overwhelming lead with 687 points, far surpassing Kang Jae-kyun's 247 and Yu Young's 74 points. The instructor further elaborates that Yoon Sung not only appeared out of nowhere to achieve an S rank, but was also the only candidate to complete the entire exam, prompting questions about his mysterious origins. In the bustling resting room, a trainee calls out, wondering if Oh Yoon Sung is present. Another trainee confirms his absence, stating that he left a while ago, sparking confusion among the group as they question who then achieved the S rank. A collective gasp ripples through the room, as the news that Oh Yoon Sung is truly absent sinks in. Frustration mounts among the trainees, one clenching his teeth in annoyance at the unexpected turn of events. The instructor, his face contorted in anger, demands that the trainees find Oh Yoon Sung, alive or dead, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. Among themselves, the trainees discuss the instructor's orders, some noting the significant reward for finding him and expressing admiration for the mysterious S-ranker. The instructor, now on the phone, frantically tries to reach Oh Yoon Sung, needing to speak with him urgently, but receives no answer. With renewed determination, the instructor reiterates his command, convinced that Oh Yoon Sung must still be somewhere nearby and must be found. Meanwhile, completely oblivious to the frantic search, Oh Yoon Sung is found peacefully asleep, resting on a toilet in a quiet bathroom stall. He sleeps soundly, oblivious to the world. Outside, the training facility stands silent under the night sky. Inside a restroom stall, he stirs, realizing it's already 1 a.m, while outside, Yu Young checks her phone, also noting the late hour and considering a taxi. Suddenly, a figure appears, startling him. It's Lee Jae-heek, the one who failed the exam, and Oh Yoon Sung wonders what he could possibly want at this hour. Lee Jae-heek stands over him, a tense silence hanging in the air. Oh Yoon Sung looks up in surprise, as from a distance, Yu Young spots the commotion, recognizing the person she was looking for. Lee Jae-heek offers to take him to his dorm, a gesture that makes Yu Young realize this man is Lee Jae-heek's brother. Confirming it's truly Yoon Sung, Yu Young reflects on the unexpected encounter as a valuable learning experience. He dismisses the idea, stating that he didn't do much to warrant such an offer. Jae-heek, however, insists, apologizing for his previous behavior and explaining that he'd like to experience the exam himself, even if he fails. From a distance, Yu Young watches them, her thoughts racing about the man's identity. Yoon Sung simply replies that it's okay, while Yu Young's internal monologue reveals her surprise at the mention of his sister and the implication that this Jae-heek is the brother of the one who failed the exam, making her wonder if he's trying to make amends. As the two men begin to walk away, Yu Young continues to observe, noting that the situation is becoming increasingly strange and unpredictable, and if she can get more information, she might be able to help. Jae-heek reiterates his offer to take Yun-sung home, mentioning that it looks like he lives quite a ways back, and asks if he'd like a ride. Yun-sung, still hesitant, considers the offer, knowing he'll have to take a bus otherwise. Yu Young, still watching, notes that Jae-heek is being surprisingly persistent, and Yun-sung, after a moment of thought, finally agrees to the ride. The two approach a sleek red car, and Yun-sung gets in. Jae-heek, now behind the wheel, confirms that Yun-sung lives in the dorms and offers to drop him off right at the entrance. Yun-sung, surprised by the unexpected generosity, accepts the offer, realizing that this ride will save him a significant amount of time. A memory flashes as he recalls a past moment, fist-bumping with Jae-heek Lee. "The things you taught me enabled me to survive," he'd said, to which Jae-heek Lee had responded with a hearty laugh. "You did well." Back in the present, Jae-heek Lee stands beside his car, a confident smile on his face, inviting him. "Then, let us go." He adds, "I have an important matter to discuss with you, so why don't we talk as we go?" The instructor leans forward, his expression serious, explaining that even if he were to fail, he would still want to experience the challenge. Oh Yun-sung nods, acknowledging the sentiment, and the instructor responds with a satisfied smile, noting that it's good to hear such determination. Later, alone, Yun-sung scrolls through his phone, contemplating the various offers he's received. He muses that he never even dreamed of receiving so many top-tier offers, wondering if he should try to boost his rank. Back with the instructor, the conversation continues about the offers. The instructor explains that the Team DI-QR Corporation offer is a solid choice, but the Tartaro's offer is also quite good. Yun-sung listens intently, then states his decision. He will try the Tartaro's offer. Later, in a different setting, Yu Young approaches Yun-sung, asking why he made that choice. He responds directly, addressing her by name. Amongst hunters, there exists a concept of purity and core. A towering, modern building stands against the sky, its facade gleaming with the words Mental Research Hospital. Inside, a complex procedure unfolds, as a figure in a lab coat oversees a screen displaying a brain scan, confirming that core extraction is now complete. A slight smile touches his lips as a narration box confirms the first stage processing complete, and the system prepares to proceed to the next stage. Later, sitting alone, he ponders the implications of what just occurred, his thoughts consumed by questions of what is purity and what is core. His dark blue eyes narrow with intense focus, seeking answers to these profound mysteries. Soon after, Oh Yun-sung sits with his instructor, who begins to explain that the core is the basic building block of a hunter, the very source of power governing their body, a concept he learned during his own training, though it isn't widely known. The instructor continues, illustrating on a tablet that there are two types of hunters, those born with a core, called pure hunters, and those who acquire it later, known as acquired hunters, with the purity of the core determining a hunter's potential. He emphasizes that while everyone will tell you that the difference is negligible, that's a lie, as the truth is, the purity of the core truly determines a hunter's potential, and some even believe it dictates their rank and abilities. With a serious expression, the instructor advises Oh Yun-sung to accept no other offers, promising to make him a hunter who can surpass anyone in just a few years. But Yun-sung, surprised, asks if he isn't preparing for the hunter exam, only for the instructor to reveal, it's been cancelled for 10 years. He reflects on the moment his life changed, a simple decision that led to his current predicament. It had seemed so straightforward then, to simply allow his core to be extracted, a naive and foolish act in hindsight. He had undergone treatments and taken medicine, unaware of the true implications of what had transpired. In the end, he had simply returned to his old self, a hunter who didn't even understand his own core, yet dreamed of becoming a top-tier warrior. He questions the very foundation of that ambition, wondering if hard work alone could have made it possible. His thoughts are interrupted as the instructor calls his name, pulling him back to the present. The instructor remarks on the faintness of Yun-sung's core, barely discernible, a stark contrast to his previous ambition. Yun-sung, still lost in thought, is addressed by the instructor as Kim Sung-duk, who then asks if the core injection was successful, noting that it's almost complete. The instructor directs Yun-sung to look at a screen, revealing an absorption rate of 64%, an astonishingly high number that puzzles even the instructor, who finds it nothing short of ridiculous. He explains that the residual core injection absorption rate is 64%, a figure far exceeding the typical 10% for a core injection, leaving him to wonder why Yun-sung's rate is so exceptionally high, before apologizing to Kim Sung-duk. He listens intently as his instructor explains that the hunter exam has been cancelled, a decision made by Kim Sung-duk, who deemed it too dangerous for the current batch of trainees. However, the instructor continues, there's a silver lining for Yun-sung, as his absorption rate is so high that it's almost unbelievable, making him a special case. The screen flashes, revealing the shocking truth, a perfect 100% absorption rate, leaving Yun-sung utterly stunned. Concerned, the instructor asks if he's experiencing any side effects from such an unprecedented rate, but Yoon-sung, though feeling a bit heavy, assures him there's nothing alarming. The instructor then explains that Yoon-sung's first injection showed a 64% absorption, which was already phenomenal, but the second injection reaching 100% is simply unheard of, a clear sign of an amazing talent. He continues, advising Yoon-sung to take things slowly and not rush his training, as receiving such a high-level core injection is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that must be handled with care. Yoon-sung's mind drifts back to an earlier conversation with the instructor and Kim Sung-duk, where he had expressed his determination to receive the core injection, despite the risks, believing it was his only path forward. Back in the present, the instructor's words echo, confirming the unprecedented nature of his absorption rate, leaving Yoon-sung in a state of profound shock. His face contorts in disbelief, the sheer weight of the revelation crashing down on him. Still processing the incredible news of his absorption rate, Yoon-sung declares his unwavering resolve, stating that even if he were to fail, he would still want to experience the challenge. Two figures in dark uniforms stand before a large, open vehicle, peering into its shadowy interior. Yoon-sung's mind races, convinced that his instructor will be disappointed, yet he cannot simply stand by and watch. He knows he has to do something, even if it means going against orders to protect them, and with a decisive press of a button, he initiates the hunting start. His expression grim, the weight of his decision settles upon him, as the narrative shifts back to a few days prior. In that moment, he couldn't believe what was happening, knowing he had to find a way to stop it, no matter the cost, refusing to let anyone get hurt, determined to protect everyone. Now, back in the present, seated in a vehicle, he contemplates the necessity of using his power, the question hanging heavy in the air. With a resolute gaze fixed forward, he makes his decision, thinking, then might as well, why don't I go all out? He stands before the training dummy, a red glow emanating from its core, as the instructor questions his approach. The instructor, observing his student's seemingly casual stance, remarks that if he were to fall in a real combat scenario, he would at least want to experience it fully. He then asks why Yoon-sung isn't using his aura, reminding him that he's been taught to use it for combat. The instructor continues, questioning if he's ever even used aura before, and stating that if he doesn't have the money for a good weapon, he should at least get a good weapon. As a faint blue glow begins to emanate from his hand, Yoon-sung thinks to himself that he needs to be careful about what he's thinking. The instructor, still oblivious to the shift in his student's demeanor, advises him to stay quiet and not cause trouble, especially since a team without a weapon would be sent to the front lines. He then asks what Yoon-sung is doing, as the young man suddenly lunges forward, a streak of blue energy trailing behind him. With a powerful, focused strike, Yoon-sung slams his glowing fist directly into the training dummy's midsection, sending a shockwave of blue energy through it. His eyes now glow with an intense blue light, surrounded by swirling particles of energy, as he declares that he doesn't need any weapon. His powerful blue aura surges forward, tearing through the air with destructive force. Suddenly, more dark figures emerge from the shadows, prompting him to exclaim, "Damn, reinforcements!" Without hesitation, he delivers a swift, red-tinged kick to the head of one creature, then follows up with a blue-infused punch to another. A third monster recoils from his next strike, as he closes the distance on a fourth. With a powerful, sweeping motion, he unleashes a torrent of blue energy, clearing a path through the remaining foes. He continues his relentless assault, a vibrant blue aura flaring around him as he delivers a powerful kick. The impact sends a shockwave through the monstrous form. Yet the creature endures, its menacing head looming as he glances upward, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. Its eyes glow with an ominous red light, signaling an unexpected resilience. Before he can react, another shadowy figure emerges from behind, catching him off guard. But his instincts are sharp. He pivots instantly, a fresh burst of blue energy erupting as he counters the new threat. As he fends off multiple two-star monsters, the observers watch in disbelief, one exclaiming how impossible it is. While the instructor, recognizing a new, more formidable foe, shouts a warning. A centurion ant, a 3-star monster, now stands before him, its armored form a stark challenge to his continued dominance. He plunges into the fray, a blur of motion amidst the swarming ant monsters. The creatures pour out relentlessly, their numbers overwhelming, as he and his companion fight to hold the line. He considers the tactical implications, weighing the cost of a small skirmish against the potential gains, ultimately resolving to commit everything. Just as the battle intensifies, a colossal 3-star centurion ant emerges, its massive form casting a shadow over the battlefield. The fight continues, a chaotic dance of blows and parries against the relentless tide of smaller creatures, even as the new, greater threat looms. The centurion ant strikes, its powerful attack slamming into him, sending him reeling. A sharp pain shoots through his leg as the monster's attack connects. He cries out, propelled backward by the sheer force of the impact. Another swift, glowing attack follows, a blur of deadly intent. As the battle raged on, Yoon-sung and Dong-hoon stare in wide-eyed disbelief, their expressions etched with a mixture of shock and growing concern. He moves with incredible speed, a blur of motion, thinking he had thought he was just dealing with a reckless rookie, But this opponent is truly a monster. A hand reaches into a glowing, metallic sphere, its surface shimmering with an ethereal light. Oh Yun-sung, observing the phenomenon, declares that even if he fails, he would like to experience it. The instructor nods, acknowledging the students' determination, before confirming their readiness to proceed. As the city lights twinkle below, a strategic plan unfolds. Everyone will spread out, taking all the credit for themselves, then regroup to divide up the spoils. Meanwhile, Kim Sung-duk observes a screen displaying complex data, muttering about the difficulty of predicting mana flow and the potential for a new energy source. Suddenly, the instructor recoils in shock, a monstrous ant-like creature with glowing red eyes appearing behind him, as he cries out in alarm. The chaos erupts as multiple monsters swarm, one pushing the instructor back with brute force, while Oh Yun-sung watches the terrifying scene unfold. Disoriented and confused, the instructor can only wonder, what just happened? A sudden, overwhelming force sends the instructor reeling, his face contorted in a shout of disbelief and fury. He quickly regains his composure, turning to his students and barking orders, urging them to prepare for the onslaught of the queen ant. Without hesitation, the instructor and his students unleash a volley of gunfire, their weapons spitting fire at the monstrous ant as it charges forward. Despite their efforts, the sheer speed and ferocity of the creature are terrifying, causing Oh Yun-sung to cry out in panic as he tries to flee the attack range. The instructor turns, his eyes widening in alarm, as the monstrous ant closes the distance with impossible speed. Before anyone can react, the creature strikes, its powerful limb slamming into a student with brutal force. The students cry out in pain and terror as the ant continues its relentless assault, overwhelming them with its sheer power. The queen ant monster, a blur of chitin and fury, continues its brutal assault, sending Oh Yun-sung flying through the air with a devastating blow. Before anyone can react, it pivots, its sharp claws tearing into Kang Jae-kyun, who cries out as he's thrown back. The monstrous ant moves with impossible speed, a terrifying force of nature. It lunges at Yu Young, who barely manages to conjure a green energy shield, but the impact sends her reeling. The monster's attack shatters her defenses, leaving her injured and vulnerable, as the instructor realizes the students are simply outmatched. The queen ant continues its rampage, a relentless engine of destruction. It strikes Oh Yun-sung again, who cries out in pain, barely able to comprehend the speed of the assault. He collapses, injured and bleeding, as the instructor, seeing the carnage, demands to know if he's all right. With a stern expression, the instructor addresses the two conscious students, telling them he warned them to escape from the beginning, but they didn't listen. He watches as the queen ant monster, a blur of white and red, slams into Oh Yun-sung, sending the student flying with a sickening impact. The creature moves with impossible speed, its movements too fast to track, even for him, as he realizes his initial attack was completely ineffective. The monster's head snaps around, its red eyes locking onto him, a chilling confirmation of its terrifying agility. Turning to Kang Jae-kyun, the instructor asks, "Hey, are you trying to say something about that queen ant right now?" Kang Jae-kyun, looking concerned, replies, "Yes, I am." The instructor's gaze hardens as he declares, "I'm going to kill it." Meanwhile, Oh Yun-sung lies broken on the ground, the monster looming over him. Kang Jae-kyun, shocked, questions his resolve, while the instructor simply states, "I have to." Oh Yun-sung remains motionless, a testament to the monster's power. He explains that if anyone is to die, it should be him, not the students, especially since they've only just begun their training. Oh Yun-sung's injured form underscores the urgency of his decision. Kang Jae-kyun can only stare in disbelief, while the instructor's face is etched with grim determination, ready to face the impossible. Kang Jae-kyun's mind races, thinking, this is crazy. He is seriously going to fight a Tier 4 monster. He declares his unwavering resolve, stating that he would rather die than allow his students to perish, vowing to personally eliminate the monstrous threat. Turning to his stunned students, he commands them to evacuate the area and assist the injured, while he prepares to face the creature alone. He promises to buy them precious time, his gaze fixed on the formidable queen ant. The monstrous queen ant, sensing the challenge, surges forward with terrifying speed. Without hesitation, the instructor meets its charge, closing the distance in a blur of motion. With a powerful, red-tinged kick, he slams into the monster, the impact rippling through its armored form. Oh Yun-sung lunges forward, his fist glowing with a fierce blue energy. The impact of his strike sending a powerful shockwave rippling through the air, shattering the ground, and kicking up a cloud of debris. But the enemy retaliates swiftly, forcing him to raise an energy shield, the force of the blow making him recoil. He unleashes a flurry of rapid punches, muttering to himself, wondering at the sheer toughness of their armor, as his attacks seemed to have little effect. A crimson aura flares around his hands, his eyes glowing red as he realizes he barely avoided serious damage by redirecting the attack, admitting it was a mistake to rely on auto-hunting and that he needs to replenish his depleted core energy. With a determined cough, he charges forward, a blue glow enveloping him, resolving to deal with the large monster immediately. He unleashes a powerful energy blast, a vibrant blue aura flaring around his fist as it connects squarely with the centurion ant, sending shockwaves through its armored form. The force of the impact continues to drive the monster back, its heavy form sliding across the ground under the relentless assault. But before he can follow up, the Centurion ant retaliates with surprising speed, its massive arms swinging in a blur towards him. The blow connects with brutal force, sending him reeling from the impact. A sharp pain shoots through him as he stumbles back, a grim realization dawning that this monster is far more resilient than he anticipated. Barely maintaining his footing, he struggles to recover as the Centurion ant presses its advantage. He quickly assesses his situation, a cold dread washing over him. Half of his core energy is already gone, and this is only the beginning. The monster's arms are too strong, its defense is too high, and he can't afford to take another critical hit. He needs to end this quickly, but his energy won't last much longer. Despite the dwindling power within him, Oh Yun-sung prepares to face the formidable Centurion ant once more, a determined glint in his eyes. Battered but resolute, Oh Yun-sung prepares for the next exchange, his body glowing with a faint blue aura. He surges forward, a streak of azure energy trailing behind him. With a powerful, glowing kick, he connects squarely with the Centurion ant's head, sending the massive creature reeling. But the monster quickly recovers, its red eyes flaring with renewed aggression as it prepares to retaliate. Before Oh Yun-sung can react, the Centurion ant lashes out with a devastating claw strike, sending him flying backward. He crashes hard into the ground, creating a small crater upon impact. The monster doesn't hesitate, lunging forward with its sharp claws extended, aiming for a finishing blow. Oh Yun-sung barely manages to block the attack with his arm, a pained grunt escaping his lips. Yet, even as he defends, he unleashes a swift, powerful kick, catching the Centurion ant off guard and sending it tumbling away. He reels from the impact, a sudden blow catching him off guard, as the monster's attack proves more relentless than anticipated. A crushing grip closes around his neck, threatening to snap it as he struggles against the immense force. But even in this dire moment, a surge of power ignites within him, and he unleashes a devastating kick, sending the monstrous ant reeling. The creature crashes through the debris, its momentum broken as he considers the unexpected resilience of his opponent. Suddenly, a new system message flashes before his eyes, revealing an unfamiliar ability and prompting him to change his stance. He quickly processes the information, wondering if this is the key to turning the tide of battle. With no other options left, he resolves to trust the system that has always guided him. A powerful command echoes through his mind, as Assault Form activates, engulfing him in a brilliant flash of energy. His body begins to glow intensely, transforming as the new power courses through his veins. Oh Yun-sung, now enveloped in a brilliant blue aura, unleashes the full force of his newly activated ability, converting all his strength into a concentrated burst of pure power. His fist, glowing with intense azure energy, connects squarely with the Centurion ant's face. The impact sends the massive creature's head snapping violently backward, its surprise evident. The relentless force continues, driving the Centurion ant further back. It crashes through a sturdy structural wall, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. As the dust settles, the Centurion ant lies defeated amidst the rubble, while Oh Yun-sung stands over it, a triumphant declaration escaping his lips. A tactical squad moves through a ruined facility, one of them urgently asking about the queen, while another points the way forward. Suddenly, a squad member cries out, urging someone named Oh Yun-sung to retreat, and asks if he is all right. The squad leader, witnessing something unbelievable, can only stammer out a shocked, "How?" Another member expresses disbelief, noting that the individual had no weapon, and there isn't a single scratch on him. The leader, growing increasingly agitated, questions the situation, wondering if something is wrong or if reinforcements were supposed to arrive. His eyes wide with astonishment, the leader then fixates on a detail, asking why the newbie's eyes are glowing, and if it's related to his skill. The squad continues to process the impossible truth. A newbie defeated the queen, without a weapon, and without a scratch, leading them to conclude he must be a monster, not human. As the leader stares at the massive monster ant in the background, a chilling realization dawns on him, and he utters the name of the Or Corporation. High above the bustling city, a towering corporate building stands sentinel, where within its walls, the instructor pushes his limits, the clang of weights echoing through the gym. Oh Yun-sung watches him, a quiet observation before he speaks, admitting that he sometimes overdoes his training. The instructor turns, a knowing look on his face as he asks, "You jumped into the training as you usually do, didn't you?" Oh Yun-sung's eyes glow with a faint blue light as he explains his unique method of control. "Well, going past my current skill level, a skill that has no choice but to expand its energy flow. That's why I'm able to expand my energy usage by controlling my energy flow." The instructor listens intently, then offers a warning. "I believe you will soon face your first true wall. Then why don't you tell me about the monster you fought?" Oh Yun-sung hesitates, then admits, "Instructor, I really don't know how to tell you about it. I shouldn't have to explain anything about my ability, right?" The instructor's expression hardens as he presses. "How can Yun-sung SSI fight so well? Well, is there a need for you to tell me that right now?" The instructor acknowledges his point, but Oh Yun-sung, holding a brown envelope, dismisses the instructor's reasoning, implying a higher rank or secret methods. before concluding that it doesn't matter. Admitting that Oh Yoon-sung is the first person to make him question his disbelief in talent, the instructor receives a simple response that he is just doing what he can. Now alone and looking at the documents, Oh Yoon-sung muses that no matter how lucky someone is, they are bound to fail eventually. He reflects on the power he received from the Centurion ant, realizing he might not have fully understood its potential, and thinks about the instructor, who attributes his abilities solely to talent. With a determined expression, he decides to open the envelope. Wearing glasses, he reads the documents, discovering that after the Centurion ant, the next monsters with A-rank cores are Tier 3 and Tier 4 dragons, with cores valued at 4.5 and 10 million won respectively. He notes that they already acquired 100 million won worth of cores from the Centurion ant alone, not including other items. He then reads an offer to give him all the money from the dungeon, which he immediately rejects, stating that if they want to give him money, they should just sell the items. He exclaims his approval of the idea, wishing them good luck. Suddenly, he looks up, surprised, and asks what's happening. The instructor, still looking surprised, asks if he really needs to be tied up this time, while Oh Yoon-sung apologizes, explaining that the CEO of QR Corporation, Yoon Kang-chul, apparently owns the hospital his friend is in. This revelation triggers a flashback, transporting them 12 years into the past, to the southwest boundary. There, a monstrous Tier 3 creature, a dragon-like beast, had spawned, designating the entire location as a Tier 3 threat. The situation quickly escalated into a national crisis, but one hunter fought and won, with others eventually rising to prominence alongside him. This man, who now oversees 2/5 of the Hunter Association in Korea, was the one who saved the nation. He is currently South Korea's strongest hunter, and is widely regarded as the prominent figure who saved the country, his form glowing with a powerful yellow aura. This formidable individual is Yoon Kang-chul. Back in the present, Oh Yoon-sung stands silently, his expression unreadable as the weight of this information settles upon him. Oh Yoon-sung's expression hardens as he considers the situation, his thoughts consumed by a single, pressing question: why is it so crucial for him to meet Yoon Kang-chul above all else? Approaching the instructor, he introduces himself, only for the instructor to offer a polite but firm refusal to his request, stating that he would prefer to change Oh Yoon-sung's mind rather than engage in a discussion. The instructor then makes a series of calls, each met with the same frustrating response, while Oh Yoon-sung listens, his own attempts to reach someone also proving fruitless. Finally, with a sigh of resignation, the instructor suggests they meet at a cafe on the first floor, assuring Oh Yoon-sung that he will be waiting there. A fleeting thought of exasperation crosses Oh Yoon-sung's mind. As he and the instructor find themselves in an elevator, the latter attempting to resume their discussion, only for Oh Yoon-sung to curtly dismiss the idea, asserting his perfect composure. The instructor acknowledges his stance, then calls out Oh Yoon-sung's name, signaling a shift in their interaction. A formal handshake seals a moment of quiet tension between Oh Yoon-sung and Yoon Kang-chul. Kang-chul begins, acknowledging the information Yoon-sung already possesses, remarking that the team member who provided the details must have informed him of QR Corporation's interest, to which Yoon-sung confirms his awareness, expressing genuine amazement. Kang-chul then extends a direct offer, promising to back Yoon-sung up, regardless of his fake skill, and inviting him to join QR. The full weight of the proposition, a position within the QR Corporation, registers on Yoon-sung's face, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. Kang-chul clarifies his intentions, assuring Yoon-sung he seeks nothing in return, only wishing to help those he admires, emphasizing his unwavering commitment to his skills even if he were to lose a limb. Despite the compelling sincerity, Yoon-sung expresses gratitude for the offer, but firmly declines, stating he has no intention of joining. Kang-chul accepts the refusal with a sigh of resignation, acknowledging that it can't be helped. Yoon-sung bids farewell, as Kang-chul calls out to him one last time, a hint of lingering hope in his voice. Still engaged in conversation, Yoon Kang-chul leans in, asking if he's curious about someone named Lee Jae-hak. Oh Yoon-sung remains silent, absorbing the unexpected question. His eyes widen slightly at the mention of the name, confirming his recognition. Kang-chul then elaborates on the concept of fake skills, explaining how they're often mislabeled as mere imposters rather than true entities or heroes. A serious expression settles on Kang-chul's face as he continues to speak. Yoon-sung considers this, then asks for an example of someone in Korea who might be ranked higher than the formidable 2F4T. Kang-chul's gaze sharpens as he repeats the name, Lee Jae-hak. He affirms the identity, describing Lee Jae-hak as a true genius. He explains that some are even born with the genius of a fake skill, capable of completing a high-level dungeon alone, like a one-man army. Yoon Kang-chul continues, saying, I would like to nurture a second Lee Jae-hak, a hunter and team that nobody can ever think of looking down upon. As he speaks, he extends a business card to Oh Yoon-sung, who takes it, thinking, best staff and a team. Later, Yoon Kang-chul is seen on his phone, looking at a profile of Jae-hik Lee, considering his next move. He thinks about the information he needs to gather. He then considers the best way to approach him, deciding to send a message to his personal cell. After sending the message, he waits for a response, then receives a simple confirmation. Yes. Have a good day. Yoon Kang-chul rides an elevator, still engrossed in his phone, a subtle smile playing on his lips. He thinks to himself, hunt in the cracks of the fracture. He stands in his office, reflecting on a time not long ago. He recalls a power that promised a bright future, a power completely unrelated to his own efforts, and then a voice on the phone remarks that he was truly outmaneuvered, referring to the young man who was once considered the next Lee Jae-hak, the one who left so abruptly. Now seated at his desk, Yoon Kang-chul questions the suddenness of the situation. He simply hums in response, listening intently. Suddenly, his eyes widen in surprise, realizing who he's speaking to. He acknowledges the realization, admitting he couldn't get a hold of the young man since he left, having not seen him since graduation. The person on the other end of the line, Kim Bung-suk, confirms the identity, acknowledging that Yoon Kang-chul was indeed outmaneuvered. Yoon Kang-chul laughs, conceding that he was indeed outmaneuvered again, lamenting his lack of information and losing the first move. Still on the phone, he expresses surprise at the other party's unexpected involvement in the matter. His frustration mounts as he demands to know how they discovered his presence, especially since the office was supposed to be empty, questioning if they had been there from the very beginning. A sharp expletive escapes him as he clutches his head, the weight of their rapidly dwindling timeline pressing down on him. With the call concluded, Yoon Kang-chul's expression hardens as he turns to Jae-hyuk Lee, inviting him to follow for a demonstration. Moments later, the two stand within a vast, sterile training room, its grid-lined floor stretching out before them. Yoon Kang-chul begins to explain a unique training method he personally developed, one designed to rapidly accelerate a hunter's growth and talent, allowing them to experience years of progress in a fraction of the time, a fundamental technique to overcome the limitations of a hunter's gate talent. Noting Jae-hyuk Lee's clear interest, he promises to demonstrate a new technique, urging him to pay close attention. Jae-hyuk Lee stands poised, his full attention fixed on the impending display. The demonstration of the new technique leaves Jae-hyuk Lee reeling, a shockwave of realization hitting him. He finds himself on the ground. As Yoon Kang-chul's voice explains, I call it the body maneuvering technique. The instructor continues, outlining the challenge ahead. Now, this will be the key. The talent you will have to obtain in 2 months. Oh Yoon-sung unleashes a powerful, blue aura that violently pushes the instructor back, who questions the unexpected intensity. The aura intensifies, visibly straining the instructor as he struggles against the pressure, until the overwhelming force causes him to cough up blood. Still reeling from the impact, the instructor is forced further back, his mind racing to comprehend the unexpected power of the student. The relentless aura continues to push him, and the instructor tries to de-escalate, pleading with Oh Yoon-sung to ease up, questioning if he's lost his mind. Overwhelmed, the instructor struggles to maintain his composure, internally questioning how someone who has trained their body to the limit could lose control of their aura like this. He reflects that mana's strength is directly proportional to the user's level of control, admitting that he himself seems to be getting a bit overwhelmed by the sheer power, acknowledging the situation. A deeper understanding of mana reveals that each human has their own unique way of handling it, fitting their physique. The instructor had focused on this obvious fact, believing it was wasted on him to talk like a normal person. Still under the lingering pressure of the aura, the instructor apologizes, repeating his apology for the chaotic display. Even if he were to fall, Oh Yoon-sung declares his desire to experience it, his gaze unwavering as the instructor listens. His instructor, acknowledging the student's resolve, responds with a thoughtful affirmation. He continues, explaining that while auto-hunting might allow him to master skills through observation, his extensive training stems from a deeper desire, not to become a mere slave to the system. He must learn it himself, especially after witnessing the ultimate sacrifice. Oh Yoon-sung, fueled by this sentiment, declares his unwavering commitment to master it, no matter the cost. 2 months later, an intense red aura flares, crackling with raw power. Oh Yoon-sung, now gripping a training dummy, prepares for a demonstration, while the instructor reminds him that the dummy is merely for support. Kang Jae-kyun, observing, notes that professional hunters are trained to concentrate their mana for countless purposes. As the dummy begins to visibly strain and crack under Oh Yoon-sung's concentrated mana, the instructor elaborates on the potential of such power, while Kang Jae-kyun realizes this is the mana concentration he had heard about. Believing there's no way he could cause a casualty in the field, Oh Yoon-sung expresses his concern. Jae-hyuk Lee, listening intently, offers to involve him in the new team they've created, part of QR's ambitious plan. Later, addressing a group of uniformed individuals, Jae-hyuk Lee calls out to his rookies. Oh Yoon-sung, however, expresses concern, questioning if he's truly ready for such an extremely large-scale operation. Jae-hyuk Lee reassures him, explaining that the team is created with super talented individuals, and he's not just anyone. He continues, stating that he is currently surrounded by them, and asks if he knows who is going to be the leader. Oh Yoon-sung, looking thoughtful, asks if it's him. Jae-hyuk Lee confirms, adding that it's not just about going into the field, but also about practicing after all. He then reveals that a few days ago, the company's top brass decided to create a new team, and although weapons and equipment are important, what they truly need are skills. A blonde-haired man looks on in surprise, questioning the nature of a delivery, as a voice calls out, announcing, Oh Yoon-sung SS. Delivery. A technician, standing beside a large, white machine with a glowing yellow ant carapace, apologizes for the late delivery, explaining that their fire artisan poured immense effort into it, as it had been a while since they had a high-quality queen ant carapace to work with. A system message for auto-hunting appears, detailing its functions. Oh Yoon-sung, now beside the technician, assures him it's fine, having received it before the hunt, while the technician adds that the inspection and maintenance took longer than expected, hinting that the queen ant carapace is at the very core of its defense. Hearing this, Oh Yoon-sung's eyes widen slightly, repeating the technician's words about the carapace being the core of its defense, as the technician, beaming, expresses his eagerness to hear about the work from his first ally, revealing a sleek, new set of armor. A group of trainees gathers around a large truck, their chatter filling the air as they discuss the new hunter equipment. Wondering if everyone has come to see it, and how amazing it would be to customize their own gear. Suddenly, a figure emerges from the truck, drawing all eyes. Oh Yoon-sung stands before them in sleek, white and gray armor, prompting exclamations of how different he looks, and congratulations on his first official equipment. Meanwhile, a rival trainee grumbles internally about his failed attempt to put Oh Yoon-sung in his place, while Oh Yoon-sung himself muses on how this will go, acknowledging that he is still just an outsider for now. He marvels at the incredible sensation of wearing the armor for the very first time, yet feels an uncanny comfort, as if he has been using it all along. Clenching his armored fist, he recalls hearing that this special custom order even has a name, and in Latin, it was called Regmeamet. A serene, winged figure appears symbolically behind him, reinforcing his sense of innate connection to the gear, as he continues to feel as though he has been using it forever. He can tell that Sunguk Huing Nim named it, likely trying to show off by making a name out of the Grey Ant Queen, but whatever the reason, he is extremely satisfied. A large, armored transport truck speeds down a city street, its heavy frame rumbling with purpose. Inside, a digital display flashes with critical mission data, revealing 3 giant whippers have been detected, 2 Tier 4 units, and 1 Tier 5, each weighing 13 tons and standing 15 meters tall. A stern-faced leader, clad in red and black armor, addresses Oh Yoon-sung, explaining that they will have to hunt the 3 giant whippers one by one. He continues, a slight smirk playing on his lips, that without Oh Yoon-sung, the Alpha Team's 10 members will split into 2 teams of 5. The leader then turns to his team, confirming their strategy. They will begin their assault on a single Tier 4 unit, using bait to lure it out, then immobilize it with harpoons before the striker team finishes it off. Turning back to Oh Yoon-sung, the leader adds with a pointed tone that since the operation has begun, he wants to make it clear that Oh Yoon-sung is merely an outsider and should just watch from the sidelines. A heavy silence falls as Oh Yoon-sung simply acknowledges the command, the weight of the exclusion settling upon him. The hunt begins as the monstrous giant whipper, a formidable 4-star threat, emerges into view, its massive form shaking the ground with each movement. With a guttural roar, the creature lunges, but a red-suited hunter deftly dodges its attack, moving with incredible speed. The monster's massive limb slams into the ground where the hunter once stood. As the team's strategy unfolds perfectly, the hunter is expertly luring the beast by barely evading its strikes. From a remote command center, a blonde-haired leader confirms the readiness of his team, receiving an immediate affirmation. The luring continues below, while from a vantage point, other red-suited hunters observe, confident in their alpha team's flawless execution, dismissing any prior concerns from their CEO. Suddenly, 2 more red-suited hunters unleash a volley of harpoons, their projectiles striking the giant whipper with explosive force. The monster roars in pain as the harpoons embed deep into its flesh, and the hunters strain against the ropes, effectively immobilizing the colossal beast. With the monster restrained, the red-suited leader issues a decisive command. Now, attack the monster's legs. I will finish it off afterward. Another hunter acknowledges, preparing their blade. The giant whipper lets out another pained cry as the hunter's blade slices into its leg, and with a final, earth-shaking impact, the colossal monster collapses to the ground. With a decisive strike, Dong-hun's blade slices into the giant whipper's leg, sending the massive creature crashing down with a heavy impact. But as it falls, the monster's eyes glow with a furious yellow light, its gaping maw twisting into a snarl of pain and rage. Before Dong-hun can react, a powerful tail whips out, slamming into him and sending him flying through the air, a cry of agony escaping his lips. He struggles to comprehend the sudden turn of events, while from a distance, another hunter shouts, "Good. Even the whipper is incapacitated this easily if I aim for its weak spots. We got one. Now if we can get other. Why Young-chul-hyung? Watch out." The monster's attack continues, striking him again with brutal force, leaving him bleeding and disoriented as he wonders how this could be happening. As Dong-hun lies defeated on the ground, the giant whipper lets out a triumphant roar, its victory echoing through the ruined landscape. 2 other hunters watch in horror, one exclaiming, "How can?" The briefing clearly said there was only one in the area. Young-chul-hyung. Damn, what do we do? The other adds, "We have to rescue him." Their shock turns to dread as a new sound echoes, and one asks, what is that sound?" Then, with a horrifying realization, he shouts, "No, there is one more," as a second giant whipper emerges from the ruins. A voice of desperation cuts through the tense air, lamenting that they cannot help, urging to give up on Young-chul-hyung, as they cannot possibly handle two of the monsters at once. But Oh Yoon-sung, his face set with grim determination, refuses to stand by, his hand beginning to glow with a golden energy as he declares, "Time to go." A monstrous giant whipper looms over Oh Yoon-sung, its massive form casting a terrifying shadow as it prepares to strike. A tentacle lashes out, connecting with a sickening crunch, sending blood splattering from his face as he struggles to comprehend the impossible situation. The monster's grip tightens, lifting him helplessly into the air, and a desperate cry escapes his lips as he realizes the gravity of his predicament. Crushing him further, the giant whipper shows no mercy, and he can only scream for his team, begging for someone to save him from this nightmare. The impact sends a shockwave of pain through his body, his vision blurring with agony. As he's violently flung away, a blur of white armor streaks into view, a new figure moving with impossible speed to intercept the monstrous threat. With a glowing hand, the armored figure slams down onto the giant whipper's head, pinning the beast with immense force as Yoon-sung falls away, his fate momentarily forgotten. Standing over the subdued form of one monstrous whipper, the white-armored figure surveys the chaotic scene, while Oh Yoon-sung, plummeting through the air, wonders if this unexpected rescuer has truly come for him, and how he could possibly handle two of these creatures. As he continues to fall, disoriented and bleeding, the white-armored figure's voice cuts through the chaos, warning him, "Jang Youngchul, you will get a bit dizzy," leaving him stunned and questioning. A guttural cry escapes him as he's violently flung through the air, the impact rattling his very bones. Before he can even recover, the gaping maw of a giant whipper clamps down on him, its razor teeth threatening to crush him whole. Meanwhile, the white-armored figure moves with blinding speed, a blur of motion across the urban landscape. Closing the distance in an instant, he delivers a powerful, arcing kick that sends one of the giant whippers reeling. Without pause, another precise strike follows, driving the creature further back. Engaging both monsters simultaneously, the figure thinks quickly, realizing he has no chance of winning with Jang Youngchul next to him, and resolves to find a safe spot by dashing toward the buildings at once. With a fierce growl from the monsters, the white-armored figure continues his relentless assault, wondering if he was fast enough to lose the second giant whipper. Still reeling from the impact, Oh Yoon-sung lets out a pained gasp, his body trembling as the white-armored figure supports him, urging him to keep moving, reminding him that the danger is far from over. He asks if Oh Yoon-sung can still move, the urgency clear in his voice as they navigate the debris-strewn environment. Finally finding a moment to pause, Oh Yoon-sung thanks him for the assistance, then asks about his own condition. The white-armored figure admits to being a bit winded, needing only a short rest, though he notes his finish wasn't as clean as he would have liked. Oh Yoon-sung, still recovering, questions how Jae managed to weave through the whipper's tentacles with such agility, to which Jae simply replies that he learned it from somewhere. Oh Yoon-sung dismisses this, stating that such a skill can't just be casually acquired. Oh Yoon-sung, now more alert, asks if everyone else is alright, and is informed that the team was able to regroup. The speaker apologizes for not being able to rescue him sooner, explaining that another whipper appeared, making the situation too dangerous. The white-armored figure, overhearing the exchange, mutters that this is no time for anger, while another voice asks Oh Yoon-sung, the Alpha Team Group A leader, if he is okay. Oh Yoon-sung then asks if the hunt is over, and is told that with two whippers appearing simultaneously, continuing the mission is now impossible. The white-armored figure curses under his breath, wondering how he will explain this failure to the CEO, before acknowledging the situation and agreeing that the operation is a failure, necessitating a return to base. He receives a yes sir in response. As the white-armored figure turns to leave, Oh Yoon-sung questions his sudden departure, reminding him that when they first arrived, he had claimed to be just an outsider and not part of the team. The white-armored figure looks down at the injured Oh Yoon-sung, his voice firm as he declares that Yoon-sung's decision to retreat or not is of no concern to him. He then instructs the injured man to stay hidden until the rescue party arrives, adding that he can manage on his own, without a bother. Reflecting on the recent battle, the white-armored figure acknowledges that he didn't rely on any auto-hunting systems, but admits the finish was weak, despite the potential for improvement. He concludes that this was the best he could do with his current skill, confirming the results of his training and realizing that the competition is no longer about outdoing others. He then faces a monstrous giant whipper, declaring this a hunting zone where the strong devour the weak, and to accomplish his goal, he will utilize every tool in his arsenal. As a glowing interface appears before him, he states that he has no reason to hold back anymore, ready to begin the hunt. Meanwhile, at the QR Corporation main headquarters, Oh Yoon-sung, now with reddish-brown hair and dressed in a suit, receives a report. His subordinate confirms that Oh Yoon-sung, also known as Jang Youngchul, has successfully escaped and is currently taking shelter in a nearby building. The other Alpha Team member's survival is also confirmed, with everyone accounted for. Yoon-sung expresses surprise at the movement capabilities displayed, noting that he didn't show such agility when fighting the Grey Ant, suggesting it's a skill Kim Sung-guk used in the past. He muses that while it's not on the level of Kim Sung-guk at his peak, considering the short time frame, Yoon-sung most likely crammed this skill in within just 2 months, then declares it's imperative to bring Oh Yoon-sung to QR at all costs. From his new position of authority, Oh Yoon-sung receives a grim report, declaring the mission a failure. He listens, a frown deepening on his face, as the voice on the other end explains the Alpha team's retreat from the Whippers. He acknowledges their decision, understanding that forcing them would only create puppets, but makes it clear that feedback will follow. Then, a new urgency enters his voice as he asks if Oh Yoon-sung, his past self, is still with the caller. The subordinate, a man in a gray hooded suit, responds with a single, terse word, rooftop. Oh Yoon-sung's expression hardens, a flicker of anger crossing his features, while the subordinate looks utterly bewildered. His voice rising to a furious shout, Oh Yoon-sung barks orders, demanding the subordinate get to the rooftop immediately and capture his past self with an action cam. The subordinate, surrounded by other generic figures, can only stammer a terrified, "Yes, sir." Both men react with a mixture of shock and frustration, as a metallic collar, possibly a tracking device, shatters on the ground, indicating a sudden, unexpected development. Back in the control room, a man with a headset reports that Agent Jang's action cam is now live, while Oh Yoon-sung, still reeling, struggles to comprehend the situation. He reflects on his attempt to leverage the Alpha team's potential, only for them to appear weak and require assistance. A monstrous sound echoes as Oh Yoon-sung gazes out his window, a massive giant whipper looming menacingly outside, its tentacles writhing. He stares, utterly stunned, muttering in disbelief, how? Just what happened? As the scene transitions to the auto-hunting title card. In this hunting zone, where only the strong survive, the armored figure knows he must utilize every tool at his disposal. And with a focused gaze, he activates the auto-hunting system. With the command to begin the hunt echoing in his mind, he launches himself forward, delivering a swift, powerful kick to the first giant whipper. Before the creature can react, he pivots, burying a fist into the face of another. A blur of motion, he unleashes a flurry of precise strikes, each impact sending shockwaves through the monstrous forms. As a tentacle lashes out, he slices it vertically, remembering the intel that this specific cut will sever it. Knowing that a horizontal cut would only allow it to regenerate, he dodges another incoming attack, his movements fluid and efficient. Then, with a final burst of speed, he delivers a devastating kick, sending the monster reeling with a powerful impact. He observes the two giant whipper monsters, noting their complete lack of coordination, as if they don't even perceive each other as enemies. Suddenly, a massive tentacle whips out with a sickening crack. But the armored figure is already in motion, delivering a powerful, glowing strike directly to one monster's head, shattering its defenses. He then deftly weaves through a barrage of incoming tentacles, his movements a blur of speed and precision. His visor glows with intense focus, every fiber of his being dedicated to the fight. Meanwhile, in a different setting, Oh Yoon-sung asks Sunguk Hyung-nim if he still calls his skill the body maneuvering technique. Sunguk Hyung-nim replies that he's changed its name. When asked why, he explains that the old name sounded a bit old school, so he put a lot of thought into making it sound cooler and more modern, finally deciding that the skill will now be called Spin and Shrit, or Spider Walk. The armored figure moves with incredible speed, a flash of white and gold as he deftly evades an incoming attack. He continues his evasive dance, the air around him rippling with the force of near misses. Another strike whips past, leaving only a faint red trail where his body had been moments before. He remains untouched, a master of defensive movement. Meanwhile, from a secure observation room, a man wonders aloud why the armored figure is merely dodging, questioning why he doesn't attack the monster's weak point to take it down. Another observer notes that while it isn't flashy, the armored figure is carefully controlling his ki, much like Kim Sunguk. Yet the question remains, why is he prolonging this? He had multiple chances to finish the fight, but Oh Yoon-sung was only dodging or cutting the tentacles horizontally, seemingly to increase their number. It all seems intentional, but his true objective remains a mystery. A sudden realization dawns on Oh Yoon-sung, his eyes widening as he gasps. What wait? Is he looking to capture it alive? A cacophony of squelching sounds erupts as the giant whippers become hopelessly entangled, their own numerous tentacles now binding them together. Oh Yoon-sung exclaims, what in the world, how? The whippers can't move anymore since they are entangled in each other's tentacles. Holy hell, he was trying to capture them alive. The armored figure had deliberately increased the number of tentacles and lured them into a specific direction, forcing them to entangle each other. His strategic brilliance was evident, as he had immobilized the monstrous tentacles by expertly entangling them with the surrounding debris, a feat that left the onlookers in awe, wondering if such a maneuver was truly possible. A subordinate quickly relayed the news over the comms, confirming the capture of the whippers and requesting a report to headquarters, to which Oh Yoon-sung calmly acknowledged the instruction. As he processed the situation, a thought crossed his mind. This hunt in the center of the fracture wasn't proving to be as challenging as he had anticipated. Meanwhile, Yoon Kang-chul, a man with a headset, offered his sincere congratulations, praising Oh Yoon-sung for his fantastic job and extending his gratitude for everything, from rescuing Jang Young-chul to capturing the targets alive. A flicker of concern crossed Yoon Kang-chul's face as he wondered if Oh Yoon-sung was disappointed with Alpha Team's performance, but his resolve hardened. He would do whatever it took to keep him there. He offered to do something personal out of gratitude, promising to act within his power, but then, Noticing a slight hesitation in Oh Yun-sung's voice, he inquired if he was injured. Oh Yun-sung, now being carefully lifted by a rescuer, simply replied that he was fine, while Kang Chul continued to express profound gratitude for saving Jang Youngchul and, in essence, their entire future. Kang Chul's thoughts raced, considering what Oh Yun-sung might desire. A large sum of money, perhaps, or the backing of a powerful firm, but ultimately, it didn't matter what he wanted. Kang Chul was determined to keep him, no matter the cost. His resolve was absolute. He had to secure Oh Yun-sung, no matter what. Then, Oh Yun-sung spoke, making a request that caught Kang Chul completely off guard. A voice echoes, demanding clarification, as simultaneously, the QR Corporation's second area of operation comes into view, marked by the distant sounds of combat. The mission concludes with a decisive blow against a 4-star monster-scale centipede, as Dong-hoon and his female leader stand victorious over the defeated creature. The female leader acknowledges the swift victory, noting it ended sooner than expected, but Dong-hoon quickly interjects, suggesting they won't need to wait for Alpha Team's results. He complains about the trivial task of cleaning up scaled centipedes, a chore he attributes to the company's efforts to train newcomers, while a gray-armored man beside him grumbles about the billions invested in these new recruits. The gray-armored man continues, lamenting the wasted money and questioning the CEO's strategy of training new players, before Dong-hoon shifts the conversation, asking if they saw the newcomer whose custom equipment was rumored to be made from a gray ant queen's carapace. The female leader, intrigued, asks about this newcomer, and Dong-hoon confirms his presence, beginning to reveal his name. Her expression remains thoughtful, awaiting the revelation. A towering, organic structure looms over a desolate cityscape, its presence heralded by an ominous hum. Indeed, hunting is inherently dangerous, and to face a monster alone carries immense risk, leaving one constantly uncertain of their own survival. Because of this, the entire industry has shifted, with many now viewing monsters solely as a source of income. 2 armored figures lament their situation, unable to handle the burden of fighting 2 powerful creatures at once, hoping for better support next time, as they only see the immediate gains and losses of a hunt. The profound sense of responsibility for others' safety, or the burning anger against monsters for taking loved ones. Perhaps such motivations are now a thing of the past, as a white armored figure approaches, asking if the woman is leader Shin Yui. The armored figure, Oh Yun-sung, is informed that his boss has already made contact, and the man before him introduces himself as Shin Yui, leader of QROB Team 1, extending a hand in greeting. The unnamed woman, observing the exchange, confirms that she intends to venture into the very center of the fracture, while Dong-hoon, standing nearby, anticipates being told to merely watch from the sidelines. A look of surprise crosses the woman's face as she hears the question, why? Oh Yun-sung, his eyes glowing behind his visor, reiterates, just as you heard. Why did you want to come here? The unnamed woman stands before Oh Yun-sung, the debris-strewn environment reflecting the harsh reality of their world, as the white-armored figure awaits her answer. Shin Yui reminds Oh Yun-sung of his recent feat, hunting 2 whippers and saving an Alpha Team member, asking if he considers that a fine result. He concedes that in terms of what he has hunted, yes, but quickly adds that it is not enough for him, as he doesn't want to be on a prepared stage, but rather desires a real hunt in the center of the fracture. A soft hum escapes Shin Yui, acknowledging his ambition, while Oh Yun-sung internally muses that she will probably tell him he is ignorant. Instead, she simply states, fine, I got it. What Oh Yun-sung wants. She then instructs him to read the position in a team hunt, stay close within their team, and hold his position. She acknowledges his talent, but warns that everyone else present is far more skilled than he is, as they observe other hunters in the distance. Oh Yun-sung, looking at her intently, asks her not to put his teammates in danger. She responds with a simple, of course, and then, with a slight smirk, adds, neat answer. I like it. Suddenly, an urgent voice calls out, leader. The fracture started to shake. Shin Yui, unfazed, tells Oh Yun-sung, good, then shall we go? Oh Yun-sung SSI, please don't forget what I told you. As red energy pulses around them, another voice reports, what's the situation? The fracture is closing at a much slower rate than expected. The voice continues, it's not good. Not only Team Marukin, but 2 other teams have also exceeded the time in which they were supposed to return. Shin Yui's concern deepens as she learns that not just any team, but Team Marukin, has failed to return on time from the fracture. Normally, when a fracture opens and monsters pour out, intercepting teams deal with the external threat while assault teams close the fracture from within, but this situation is different. She thinks to herself that this isn't good. Considering the number of monsters they were supposed to hunt, the assault team shouldn't have had such a hard time closing the fracture. Team Marukin, much like QR, belongs to 2F4T, the top hunters in Korea, their skills renowned despite their small numbers, and for this particular hunt, QR is also involved. With Marukin in charge of the assault team inside the fracture and others intercepting outside, Shin Yui can only wonder what could have possibly gone wrong within the fracture to cause such a delay. Suddenly, a signal is detected, confirming that something is indeed coming out of the fracture, and it's identified as the leader of Team Marukin, while some hunters casually remark that they took their sweet time and it was getting boring hunting small fries. But the casual remarks quickly turn to shock as the hunters realize something is terribly wrong, wondering why the leader is falling from the sky. A chaotic burst of red energy and green lightning crackles around the falling figure, leaving the onlookers to question what could have possibly happened. A wave of horror washes over Shin Yuhi, her face contorted in a silent scream of disbelief. The leader of Team Marukan crashes to the ground, his body broken and surrounded by a crimson aura, as the other hunters, including Oh Yun-sung, stare in disbelief, uttering cries of impossible and goddammit. What happened inside? With a commanding gesture, Shin Yuhi rallies her team, her voice cutting through the tension as she orders everyone to prepare for assault, her hunters responding with a unified affirmation. Yet, a flicker of concern crosses her face as she glances at a monitor, muttering about Oh Yun-sung's aside, lamenting that he won't be able to join them, then wondering if he's already gone into hiding, concluding it's probably for the best, as his presence might have made things even more dangerous. Suddenly, the fracture above them pulses with a vibrant, ethereal glow, and a chilling, guttural shriek echoes as something else begins to pour out, revealing a swarm of green, winged monsters identified as Sandy-ga, a Tier 4 threat. The hunters below react with shock and disbelief, recognizing the creatures as Sandy-ga, a species rarely seen, especially outside of North America, prompting questions about why such monsters are spawning in Korea. Undeterred by the new threat, Shin Yuhi barks out new orders, telling her team to maintain formation and charge into the fracture as fast as possible, a command that leaves some of her hunters questioning her leadership, wondering why she's so recklessly approaching a monster they're encountering for the very first time. Despite their apprehension, the hunters obey, charging forward with determination, their forms blurring as they rush towards the glowing rift. One hunter voices his confusion, asking why their leader is so impatient, recalling that she was always a calm-minded person who prioritized safety above all else, before another hunter urgently tells him to look up at the sky. Above them, the swarm of Santy-ga monsters fills the air, their numbers overwhelming, leaving the hunters to exclaim in disbelief at the sheer scale of the threat. As the chaos unfolds, Shin Yuhi sprints forward, a hunter reporting to her, "Sir, this is Shin Yuhi," to which she responds, "I am watching. Please report." She issues her commands with unwavering resolve, stating that OB Team 1 will initiate the assault and, if possible, charge directly into the fracture to seal it. She then outlines contingency plans, requesting the North American Monster Response Team and any available artillery, should their mission fail. Donghoon acknowledges her directives, offering a simple, yet firm, "I understand," before wishing her good luck. Meanwhile, the true scale of the threat becomes terrifyingly clear. Tier 4 or higher monsters, exhibiting a dangerous horde mentality, are swarming from the fracture. These creatures possess an ability to overwhelm vast areas in an instant, their forms blurring through the air with menacing speed. A massive maw, lined with razor-sharp teeth and a dripping tongue, emerges from the chaos, a terrifying harbinger of the aerial type. Shin Yuhi, now on the ground with her team, shouts orders to her hunters, emphasizing that these are aerial types, and they must forget catching them alive, instead killing as many as possible and ensuring not a single one escapes. She charges forward, her determination palpable, insisting they must stop the monsters at all costs. Meanwhile, another figure, clad in advanced white armor, moves with incredible speed, their armored boots kicking up dust as they race towards the fray. With a powerful aura radiating from their form, the armored figure prepares a formidable weapon, ready to join the desperate battle. The new white armored figure moves with precision, their advanced combat suit gleaming, as a focused, light blue eye peers out from behind the yellow visor, ready for the impending battle. Jae-hyuk Lee receives an urgent call, confirming that an unexpected situation, akin to a gray ant anomaly, is unfolding, and they believe it's no ordinary omen, indicating something unknown is happening with the fractures. He asks if they've done everything they can so far, as the narration warns that if Shin Yuhi's team fails, the military will immediately begin bombardment. Turning to a subordinate, Jae-hyuk Lee inquires if he's being connected to an emergency response team, but the man with the headset clarifies that it's not quite that simple. The subordinate reports that third-party reinforcements are requesting a retreat, explaining that they consider the danger unexpected and not part of their contract, thus not obligated to continue. Jae-hyuk Lee's face contorts in furious disbelief, cursing the retreating teams. He rages, questioning if they think this is just a regular job, reminding himself that hunters exist to protect the public from monsters, and that their lives were put on the line in the past for this very purpose. The subordinate admits they're trying to persuade the teams, but have no way to keep them, asking for instructions as Jae-hyuk Lee hesitates, looking up in distress. With a look of grim resignation, Jae-hyuk Lee instructs them to let the teams retreat if they wish, despite the subordinate's concerned protest about insufficient manpower. Jae-hyuk Lee, resolute in his decision, instructs his team to prepare, declaring they will head to the front line. When a subordinate voices concern, calling his actions reckless, Jae-hyuk Lee dismisses the notion, asserting his responsibility and stating that they will volunteer to do what they can from this point on, prompting a nervous affirmation from his team. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, a barrage of red energy impacts the surroundings as a fierce battle rages. A lone female fighter, Her purple eyes narrowed in focus, unleashes a concentrated blue energy blast, striking a monstrous reptilian creature. The creature lets out a guttural roar, but the fighter stands firm, channeling her psychic energy for the next attack. With swift precision, she fires multiple blue energy projectiles, hitting two of the monstrous reptiles simultaneously. As debris rains down around her, a frustrated tsh escapes her lips. Looking out over the ravaged cityscape, she grimly observes the overwhelming numbers, realizing that even more enemies are rapidly approaching. She knows she cannot simply continue to fight against the relentless Sanijie horde, as merely killing these monsters will not be enough to handle the situation. Closing the fracture completely is the best way to end this, but with so many enemies present, approaching it proves difficult, and she laments the lack of a key or tech user who could quickly reach the rift. Suddenly, a voice cries out, warning her of a threat above, and she barely manages to dodge a swift attack from a flying monster, its sharp cry echoing as it taunts her. She retaliates with a burst of blue energy, striking a ground monster, but her frustration mounts, wishing for a specialized user to turn the tide. The flying monster, however, proves too agile, escaping her grasp, leaving her to curse its distance. Just as she despairs, a sudden realization dawns on her, and she gasps, recognizing the figure now aiming a bow at the fleeing creature. It's Oh Yoon-sung, his arrow already in flight. With incredible speed, Oh Yoon-sung moves, his armored form a blur as he closes the distance, delivering a powerful kick to a ground monster. The impact of his kick is bone-shattering, sending the creature reeling as he stands ready with his bow. Standing over the defeated monster, Oh Yoon-sung removes his helmet, revealing his face as the female fighter asks if he was hiding, to which he calmly replies that he merely went back to retrieve some useful equipment. Oh Yoon-sung, now clad in advanced combat armor, holds up a device, asking about the equipment he's brought, before explaining it's a harpoon designed for hunting the formidable whipper. He believes they can use it to their advantage, but Shin Yu-hee, her expression tight with concern, challenges him, asking if he intends to participate in this extremely dangerous mission. He simply states that he has work to do, a situation where even one more person can make a difference. Shin Yu-hee turns away, still processing his words, as Oh Yoon-sung clarifies that since he was already there, he was simply doing what he must. She responds with a simple, if reluctant, of course. Oh Yoon-sung then declares he possesses a useful key technique, and will be on his way, but Shin Yu-hee quickly interjects, insisting that they need at least 2 people to go. He explains that fighting the Sanijie, while simultaneously closing the fracture, is almost impossible for one person. Shin Yu-hee then asks if he has mobility key techniques, lamenting that her entire team, including herself, lacks such abilities. However, she acknowledges that this isn't a situation where he can go alone. With a determined expression, Oh Yoon-sung's armored legs shift, and Shin Yu-hee concedes that it can't be helped. She never thought she would have to exchange these words with anyone again. Oh Yoon-sung drops to one knee, preparing himself for the task ahead. As Shin Yu-hee, a slight smile playing on her lips, apologizes for her unexpected bluntness. She then states her trust in him, telling him, "Fine, I will believe you. Let's go." Turning to a red-armored figure, Shin Yu-hee addresses him as Vice Leader Lee Jinik, instructing him that he will be in charge of the situation. A surprised Lee Jinik questions her meaning, while she simply confirms her decision. She declares her intent to charge directly into the fracture alongside Oh Yoon-sung to close it, prompting a surprised query from an unseen individual about her destination. As Oh Yoon-sung strides forward, a subordinate calls out, questioning their leader's decision to bring a newcomer into such a dangerous mission. Suddenly, a horde of winged reptilian monsters bursts forth from the glowing fracture, their screeches filling the air, and she urgently commands everyone to prepare for battle. Without hesitation, Oh Yoon-sung's armored hand grips his firearm, the metallic click of a chambered round echoing sharply. A brilliant blue energy blast erupts from his weapon, tearing through the air towards the encroaching monsters. One of the winged creatures is violently thrown backward by the impact, its body twisting midair. She shouts a warning to Oh Yoon-sung, pointing out the immediate danger and the pulsating entrance to the fracture directly ahead. Stepping onto the rough, glowing terrain, Oh Yoon-sung observes the strange new environment, a pinkish aura shimmering around him and his companion. He murmurs, realizing the gravity of their discovery. This is the center of the fracture? The air itself feels oppressive, hot and humid like tropical weather, making it difficult to even breathe. Sweat beads on his neck, and his companion, Yui, looks around with concern. Her eyes widen in shock as she spots something in the distance. That's a massive, dark reptilian creature lies amidst the rocks, a fallen hunter nearby. Observing the scene, Oh Yoon-sung realizes the full extent of the previous team's struggle. As expected, Marukan did their best to close the fracture. They were going against the horde of Shanti-jie, all on their own. He concludes, that means the fracture breaker is. His gaze falls upon a complex mechanical device. It's right there. The fracture breaker. He knows that by injecting a considerable amount of aura, the breaker becomes activated and closes the fracture. A glowing gauge shows the progress, and Oh Yoon-sung notes that Marukan almost completed the task. It just needs one person's worth of aura. Yui, her expression hardening, states, I just have to charge a little bit more, as the massive Shanti-jie monster rises behind them, letting out a terrifying roar. Deep within the fracture's core, the monstrous Shanti Prime, a Tier 6 entity, looms with a terrifying presence. Shin Yuhi recognizes it as the alpha entity responsible for destroying the assault team, and questions if they truly have no choice but to defeat it, wondering if she possesses enough energy to fight such a foe while simultaneously charging the fracture breaker. As the gravity of the situation settles, she turns to Oh Yoon-sung, her expression etched with concern. Yoon-sung reminds her that the alpha team had been fighting until now, insisting it's his duty to confront the monster, allowing her to focus on charging the breaker, though she hesitates. Yuhi admits she doesn't have enough aura to fully charge the device, suggesting he handle the monster instead. But Yoon-sung firmly declares it's his job, instructing her to charge the remaining aura, to which she agrees, entrusting her life to him for the next 5 minutes. With a resolute nod, Yoon-sung acknowledges her trust. As he faces the colossal Shanti Prime, Yoon-sung can't shake the feeling that the monster is sneering at them, as if proclaiming there's no escape. Despite his limited energy, he resolves to evade its attacks, employing a hit-and-run tactic as he lunges forward, the monster roaring in response. But before he can fully execute his plan, the Shanti Prime strikes with brutal force, sending him reeling from the impact. He reels from the impact, a powerful blow landing squarely on his armored form. Even with his auto-hunting system active, he couldn't dodge it. The force felt like being hit by an 18-wheeler as the monster's skin glowed, increasing its body temperature and power in that moment. But if not for his Regenia Med armor, his entire body would have been torn to pieces, yet Shin Yuhi's voice cuts through the chaos, declaring this won't be the end. Staggering, he realizes a hit-and-run tactic won't work against this foe, and he must change his strategy to counter the monster's charging trajectory. To do that, a system message flashes, announcing the activation of Assault Form. He intends to use the monster's charge to attack its weak point, a desperate gamble where he could die, or be utterly finished if his CE runs out. If he can't stop its charge or hit its weak point, he's done for, and Shin Yuhi, needing 5 minutes to charge her aura, places her life in his hands. But with that heavy burden of trust, she continues to channel her energy into the device, a vibrant blue aura flaring around it. He channels a surge of brilliant blue energy into his fist, his resolve unwavering as he prepares for the desperate counterattack. Meanwhile, the Shanti Prime lets out a guttural shriek, unleashing a torrent of searing red energy from its maw. Undaunted, Oh Yoon-sung meets the monster's charge head-on, daring it to come closer as its fiery aura intensifies. As the monster closes the distance, he moves with blinding speed, a blur of white and blue energy. Their clash erupts in a massive, concussive impact, shaking the very ground beneath them. In the aftermath, Oh Yoon-sung reappears behind the colossal beast, a glowing blue blade now materialized in his hand, poised for a decisive strike. He plunges the blade into the monster's back, drawing a spray of blood and a pained shriek from the Shanti Prime. The Shanti unleashes a deafening, guttural roar, its massive maw wide open as a wave of raw power washes over the arena. Overwhelmed by the sonic assault, Oh Yoon-sung recoils, clutching his head as searing pain shoots through his armored form. His body trembles under the strain, a desperate thought echoing in his mind. Damn, is this my limit? Meanwhile, the Shanti stands unfazed, its massive form radiating an aura of unchallenged power, blood still dripping from its fangs. It eyes the struggling hunter, a mocking challenge in its cry, as if asking, damn, is it trying to run? But before the monster can press its advantage, Oh Yoon-sung unleashes a golden projectile from his arm cannon, striking the Shanti squarely in the chest with an explosive impact. The creature roars in agony as the attack continues, Oh Yoon-sung pressing his advantage with relentless force. The monster's attack sends a jolt of agony through him, forcing a pained gasp as his body struggles to withstand the impact. Yet, even as he reels, his arm cannon lashes out, striking the creature with a powerful blow. A voice calls out to him, confirming that his fracture breaker is now fully charged and activating, while the female observer urges them to escape, noting the fracture is closing. The arm cannon glows with an intense, crackling energy, its internal mechanisms whirring as it prepares for a decisive strike. Despite the urgency in her voice, Oh Yoon-sung refuses to abandon the fight, realizing the monster is desperately trying to escape at all costs. A dangerous thought crosses his mind. Perhaps he could use the fleeing creature to his advantage, to secure his own escape. With a surge of power, he unleashes a devastating blast from his arm cannon, sending the monster reeling back with a piercing shriek. He follows up the attack with a powerful stomp, driving the creature further into the ground. The relentless assault continues, leaving the female observer stunned by the sheer force of his actions. As the monster thrashes, Oh Yoon-sung extends a hand down, urging the female fighter to grab on. Their hands clasp firmly, a desperate connection forged amidst the chaos. Meanwhile, the Shanti monster reels, a harpoon already embedded deep within its scaly hide. With a powerful heave, Oh Yoon-sung pulls her up, shattering the energy barrier around them as they break free. The monster lets out a piercing shriek, plummeting downwards, dragging both hunters along with it. They are out of the immediate danger zone, but now find themselves high above the city, rapidly descending. Oh Yoon-sung, ever focused, declares they aren't finished yet, insisting they must end the monster before it goes berserk. He points to the harpoon wound, instructing her to use her aura bullet to finish it. The female fighter glances down at the distant city, briefly wondering about their landing, but quickly dismisses the thought, gripping her weapon tighter. Focusing her energy, she unleashes a brilliant blue aura bullet, sending it hurtling towards the wounded Santigie. The massive body of the Santigie monster, struck by the aura bullet, crashes down with devastating force, sending debris flying in every direction. Amidst the dust and wreckage, the monster lies defeated, while the female fighter and Oh Yoon-sung land hard, their bodies absorbing the impact. Its massive form continues to plummet, a lifeless husk falling through the air. The female fighter pushes herself up, shaking off the residual shock of the fall, her expression a mix of relief and disbelief. Turning to her companion, she calls out, "Yunsung SSI, we did it, huh?" as she notices his state. He lies motionless, unconscious from the ordeal, prompting her to exclaim, "Yunsung SSI," before realizing he just lost consciousness. Thank God. She gazes at him, a thoughtful expression on her face, muttering, "Amazing or reckless? I just can't understand this man." Standing over his still form, she offers a quiet, "Well, you have done well, Yunsung SSI," a hint of admiration in her voice. Moments later, Oh Yoon-sung stands fully recovered, his gaze sweeping over the cityscape, taking in the damage as a narration declares, "That was a fantastic hunt." The battle concludes, leaving the massive Santigie monster lifeless on the ground, its defeat a testament to the combined efforts of the hunters, particularly Shin Yui. The news spreads quickly, a collective gasp of disbelief and awe echoing through the ranks. They actually did it. Sometime later, the aftermath finds Oh Yoon-sung recovering within the modern confines of the Jin Chang-hoon Special Medical Center, a state-of-the-art facility dedicated to specialized medical care. He slowly regains consciousness, his eyes fluttering open to the unfamiliar surroundings, a dull ache throbbing through his body as he realizes he's in a hospital. A groan escapes his lips as the pain registers, making him wonder if it's a lingering effect from the Chantigie Prime. A familiar face appears beside his bed, a man in a sharp suit, who remarks on his surprisingly good condition for someone who has been unconscious for 2 whole days. Oh Yoon-sung assures him he's fine, despite the man's concern about the extent of his injuries. The man then presents him with a sleek, black device, hinting at its purpose with a cryptic, "You will find out," leaving Oh Yoon-sung utterly bewildered by the mysterious object. The world of hunters is structured by 5 distinct ranks, ranging from the lowest blank tier to bronze, silver, gold, and finally, platinum. These ranks are determined by 2 seasons of results and an annual evaluation, serving as a hunter's resume, representing their power and wealth, and as a man in a crisp suit hands over a small, dark box, Oh Yoon-sung questions if the item inside is a silver badge. The man confirms it was provided for him last time, intending to hand it over after the hunt, but now, he exclaims in surprise, realizing the badge is no longer relevant. He explains that the badge, provided after the Grey Ant incident, is now completely useless, leaving Oh Yoon-sung bewildered. He reveals that for hunters, badges up to silver are made of fake metal, but gold and platinum use actual gold, and even platinum badges have grades like Platinum Plus, as he presents a new box containing 3 gleaming platinum badges and a hunter license clearly displaying Oh Yoon-sung as a special defense class ranker. This ranker class is reserved only for the top 20 hunters. The man in the suit winks, explaining that the committee is incredibly efficient with these things, sending the new credentials even before the day was over, and with a warm smile, he congratulates Oh Yoon-sung on officially becoming a ranker from today. As the man asks how he is feeling, Oh Yoon-sung, still reeling from the news, can only stammer in disbelief, while on a nearby phone screen, a news report highlights Hunter Park Kang-han as the biggest contributor to a recent situation, with the reporter confirming that without him, the situation would have only worsened. Still recovering in the hospital, he listens as Director Kim asks who he thinks Yoon-sung is, then explains that it's the alias he came up with for him. Oh Yoon-sung questions the need for an alias, to which Director Kim clarifies it's to ensure the public sees Park Kang-han and Shin Yui credited in news broadcasts, adding that he can go public with his identity if he wishes, but that Park Kang-han is already as public as anyone could get. Meanwhile, in a separate conversation, Director Kim discusses the fracture situation with a red-haired man, who asks if Park Kang-han and Shin Yui will receive full credit. Director Kim confirms this, stating their actions prevented civilian casualties, but the red-haired man expresses a doubt. The red-haired man dismisses the idea of public opinion, asserting that Park Kang-han's achievements are all recorded and verifiable, but then reveals that Park Kang-han was not actually responsible for the center of the fracture. Despite this, he volunteered to enter the dangerous zone, while others, who displayed shameful cowardice, called for an immediate retreat as soon as the situation turned perilous. He continues, asserting that Park Kang-han is the only hunter truly deserving of his current status, and questions the system that grants ranker status based solely on annual results, implying it doesn't always reflect true merit. He notes that many are suspicious of Park Kang-han's rapid rise to ranker status. He points out that history shows no newcomer becoming a ranker so quickly, asking Director Kim for his opinion on the matter, or if Park Kang-han was truly the one who prevented the crisis after all. Back in the hospital room, Director Kim explains to Oh Yoon-sung that the public has to compliment him for his contribution, otherwise they'd be seen negatively, but admits the world is currently only talking about Park Kang-han. Oh Yoon-sung internally acknowledges that he should be feeling something about this, as director Kim, with a knowing smile, reminds him that his alias wasn't chosen without reason. He then informs Oh Yoon-sung that the Hunters Association has sent him an invitation to the Ranker Conference, an exclusive gathering for the top hunters in the country, aimed at creating countermeasures for the increasing number of fractures. Later, walking through a bustling hallway, Oh Yoon-sung reflects on the nature of popularity, understanding its allure, but resolves that losing himself to fame would only delay his recovery. He reminds himself that the training he was given is not enough, and he must focus solely on getting stronger, on increasing his skill. As he approaches a checkpoint, a guard stops him, requesting his ID and invitation to enter the conference. Oh Yoon-sung readily complies, presenting his documents. The guard, after reviewing his documents, addresses him as Oh Yoon-sung SSI, then adds that as a hunter, he must wear a badge. Oh Yoon-sung agrees, but the guard's expression shifts to one of surprise. He stands before a group of hunters, one of whom holds a tablet displaying his alias, Park Kang-han, and his rank, 19th. The hunter asks if he is indeed Ranker Park Kang-han, to which he calmly confirms his identity. A man named Bae Ji-hyun, apologizing for the commotion, introduces himself, explaining that the attention surrounding Oh Yoon-sung's alias had become bothersome. Oh Yoon-sung then clarifies that he is, in fact, Oh Yoon-sung, not Park Kang-han, as the crowd murmurs about the infamous rookie who was supposedly unaffiliated with any group. Just as the situation settles, another hunter, Lee Jae-hak, excitedly calls out to Oh Yoon-sung, recognizing him and expressing surprise at his presence. The crowd around them reacts with shock, realizing that the two know each other. Other hunters in the vicinity whisper about Park Kang-han's unexpected appearance, while Lee Jae-hak exclaims that it's been a long time, perhaps half a year since they last met. Lee Jae-hak, with a wide grin, explains that he rarely attends such events and usually doesn't know anyone when he does, then asks if Oh Yoon-sung also came alone. He enthusiastically suggests they sit together, finding the idea of being alone at the event too awkward. As Lee Jae-hak pulls Oh Yoon-sung away, Bae Ji-hyun quickly interjects, apologizing and asking if he could borrow Oh Yoon-sung for a moment. Lee Jae-hak, however, dismisses the request, stating that he was the one who rescued Oh Yoon-sung from the bothersome crowd. Oh Yoon-sung thanks Lee Jae-hak for the rescue, admitting the situation was getting bothersome, while Lee Jae-hak brushes off the apology, explaining that having experienced the chaos firsthand, it was only right to help him out, especially with so many people around. Lee Jae-hak then poses a rhetorical question, comparing the situation to a lion appearing among wild dogs, implying that the lesser creatures would flee. He elaborates, suggesting that if numerous wild dogs surround an animal, it's not special unless that animal stands its ground when a lion approaches, proving it's also a lion. Oh Yoon-sung, flattered by the comparison, humbly states that if he were truly a lion, he wouldn't have needed help in the first place. Lee Jae-hak chuckles, suggesting that he is merely a lion that hasn't fully grown yet, a lion cub, as Oh Yoon-sung considers the implication. A bead of sweat trickles down his temple as Oh Yoon-sung's eyes widen in surprise, a sudden realization hitting him with a dull thud. He thinks to himself that whatever it is, it will be fully grown in no time at all. A large conference is underway, with a speaker addressing a room full of attendees, thanking them for their presence and announcing that the proceedings will begin immediately. Special Defense Agency Chairman Yang Chang-guk explains that monsters typically appear in specific regions based on their probable habitats, but recently, they've been observed deviating from this norm, appearing in areas where they've never been seen before. Due to this alarming development, the Defense Agency has decided to create a countermeasure by calling upon prominent hunters, cooperating with other global organizations to evaluate the situation and manpower needed. As the implications of the chairman's words sink in, Oh Yoon-sung considers himself, thinking, although a lion cub, while Park Kang-han observes him, musing that he looks like he will be fully grown in no time. Later, Jae-hyuk Lee approaches Park Kang-han, expressing his sincere thanks, though Park Kang-han humbly dismisses it, claiming he hasn't done anything to deserve such gratitude. Jae-hyuk then mentions his sister, Un-sil, who is in China, her eyes full of vigor before she left, all thanks to Park Kang-han. Park Kang-han then suggests that since this is a global crisis, the Chinese people in the industry will also be attending an event, and it would be beneficial for Jae-hyuk to experience the excitement of the large-scale stage set in China, where the magnitude of monsters differs greatly from their own region. Oh Yoon-sung internally questions the conversation, wondering why he's being told about a lion cub going to China and what the speaker is trying to convey, as a narration box reveals the defense agency will now take an aggressive stance toward the fractures. Park Kang-han reacts with a surprised what? His expression shifting with concern. As the chairman continues his address, a sharp gasp escapes the audience, with Oh Yoon-sung and Park Kang-han both reacting with visible shock to the unfolding policy. He explains that in the hunting industry, a dive means hunters intentionally remain within a fracture after its closure to further investigation and hunting, a concept that emerged when hunters' power grew enough to overwhelm monsters. Humanity then developed a keen interest in the monsters that continuously crossed over from the other side of these fractures. This led to the belief that exploration and colonization of these monster-infested zones might be possible, and people, filled with high expectations, began aggressively investigating and diving into the fractures. However, the consequence of such ignorance was devastatingly harsh, resulting in the complete annihilation of not only hunters but also specialized armies, all wiped out in the brutal fighting on their own ground. The sole survivor of that tragedy became psychologically disturbed by the trauma, leaving behind only a few haunting words, and afterward, diving became strictly illegal in the hunting industry. However, the chairman pauses, hinting at a change. Returning to the present, the chairman clarifies that unlimited diving will obviously not be permitted, as they cannot allow hunters to unnecessarily endanger themselves. This is why they will carefully create a team of qualified hunters to specifically begin the dive, and the participation of those nominated will not be mandatory by any means, as this dangerous task will be left up to each hunter's discretion. Though they speak of discretion, the unspoken truth hangs heavy in the air. What hunter would refuse such an opportunity? For diving is the hunter's ultimate dream, promising all the glory and wealth to those who succeed. As the chairman concludes, the air in the room has undeniably changed, with Park Kang-han, Shin Yu-hee, and Jae-hyuk Lee all processing the profound implications of this new, aggressive policy. Chairman Yang Chang-guk continues his address, explaining that once diving begins, hunters will face no restrictions and all their actions will be tolerated, provided they gather as much information as possible. He adds that ownership of any spoils or items harvested will also go directly to the respective hunters, before moving on to announce the first nominated ranker hunters. Rank 1, Jae-hyuk Lee, followed by Rank 4, Kim Yo-hyun, and Rank 7. Jae-hyuk Lee, seated in the audience, offers a polite thank you for his nomination, as the chairman then names Rank 19, Oh Yoon-sung. The mention of Rank 19 Oh Yoon-sung immediately ignites a furious uproar among the other attendees, with shouts of disbelief and questions about why the lowest-ranked individual is being nominated, while others recall him as the rookie who topped the recent exam. Park Kang-han and Oh Yoon-sung himself react to the sudden commotion. Amidst the chaos, a man named Cha Jae-gil, director of Gungan and a current Rank 8 hunter, abruptly stands and shouts his objection, interrupting the proceedings as Chairman Yang Chang-guk lets out a weary sigh. Cha Jae-gil continues his protest, arguing that it's simply not appropriate to nominate Oh Yoon-sung, whom he dismisses as a mere rookie amongst rookies who only received his license a mere 6 months ago. Chairman Yang Chang-guk attempts to calm the agitated crowd, reminding everyone that the team announcement is still in progress and that a Q&A session will follow. He then directly addresses the concerns, explaining that Oh Yoon-sung's nomination was based on his exceptional survival skills and situational awareness, rather than solely on rank or affiliation with established firms. Cha Jae-gil retorts, questioning the transparency of the selection process and pointing out that the public has yet to see Oh Yoon-sung's action camera footage, implying it might be edited or withheld. In the audience, Oh Yoon-sung and Park Kang-han listen intently. The influential director of Gungan continues to press his point, suggesting that the agency is merely pretending to consider other rankers not on the diving team list and implies there's no valid reason to give a newcomer any special consideration. He concludes by expressing doubt about the defense agency's nomination choice, suggesting that a reference or testimony from another established group should be required. Meanwhile, Oh Yoon-sung, still in the audience, is acutely aware that his newcomer status makes him an easy target for such criticism. As the debate over Oh Yoon-sung's nomination intensifies, a new voice cuts through the tension, offering to provide testimony. It is Shin Yu-hee, the formidable Rank 2 hunter. She declares her statement is made with her rank on the line, a move that suggests Cha Jae-gil, who had been so vocal, must have grown quite impatient with the proceedings. Observing the unfolding drama, Park Kang-han notes that Yoon Sun-bi had already delivered a passionate speech on live television, and now Shin Yu-hee, the Rank 2, has also spoken out. He wonders why Yoon Kang-chul Sun-bi isn't stopping her, concluding that her statement is tantamount to siding with Oh Yoon-sung. Director Kim, visibly surprised, acknowledges Shin Yu-hee's reputation for skill, experience, and personality, reasoning that if she, credited for much of the Sanijie hunt, supports Oh Yoon-sung, other high rankers will surely follow suit, leaving Cha Jae-gil with no further excuses. Despite the mounting support for Oh Yoon-sung, Cha Jae-gil remains defiant, insisting he is not doubting Oh Yoon-sung's abilities, but rather questioning what skill is most important for hunters undertaking dives. He argues that while hunters cannot excel in every field, some glaring deficiencies cannot be ignored, pointing out that footage shows Oh Yoon-sung is only capable of melee attacks, implying a lack of situational awareness. Park Kang-han, growing increasingly frustrated with Cha Jae-gil's persistent objections, feels compelled to intervene and offer his own perspective on the matter. As the murmurs of discontent spread through the audience, with some calling for Cha Jae-gil to stop, Oh Yoon-sung himself takes the stage, acknowledging the doubts from the Sunbays and expressing his apologies for the situation. He then thanks everyone who has supported his qualification, before preparing to share his personal perspective on the ongoing debate, as Shin Yu-hee watches with a knowing smile. As the debate continues, he declares his unwavering stance, stating, "I have no intention of refusing this opportunity." He then elaborates, explaining that as a hunter, he plans to give his all to cooperate with the defense agency, ensuring the dive comes to fruition. Acknowledging the concerns of his peers, he addresses Cha Jae-gil directly. "I most certainly understand Cha Jae-gil Sun-bi's concern. However, He proposes a solution, offering to demonstrate his full range of offensive abilities right then and there, asking Chairman Yang Changuk if that would be acceptable. A broad smile spreads across the chairman's face as he responds, "That's a fantastic idea. If you can do that for us, it would rid everyone of doubt or concerns." He then formally grants permission, instructing Oh Yoon-sung to demonstrate his skill. From the audience, a man shouts excitedly, "Right. This is only for rankers anyway. We are just warm bodies to fill the vacant spot, so this would be something to watch." Another voice adds, "Good going, Park Kang-on. Flatten that Cha Jae-gil's nose so he can't talk anymore." Meanwhile, a man in a fedora, observing the scene, muses, My, I was about to get bored, but we have something interesting going on here, don't we?" A low murmur fills the air as Oh Yoon-sung stands before a group of observers in what appears to be a training facility. His gaze fixed on two sleek, futuristic firearms resting on a table beside him. He picks one up, a Gauler gun, a basic anti-monster weapon carried by many hunters, unless they specialize in psi or tech abilities. A female hunter swallows hard, wondering aloud if Yoon-sung's psi, not being a psi or tech type, is truly suited to use it, while another observer questions what he's truly planning with just a Gauler gun. The Gauler gun, designed to let its wielder channel aura to increase its power, feels solid in his grip. Yoon-sung raises the weapon, aiming downrange, as a thought crosses his mind about the fundamental difference between psi or tech abilities, which are inherited, and the innate power of ki. He reflects on how he completely reorganized his own ki, with techniques like spin and trip being a result, and how he only passed it down to trusted individuals. Park Kang-han, now in safety gear alongside Yoon-sung, explains that while everyone says skill is all you need in this new industry, countless areas remain unfair, especially when everyone can use ki. He emphasizes that without training with your life on the line, you'll fall behind, especially since their country lacks a long history of ki like others. He concludes by stating that the few who do pass down ki often treat it as a technology, which is why he decided to create his own methods, before instructing Yoon-sung to put on his safety equipment. The second lesson begins with a sharp, metallic click as the Gauler gun is prepared. A moment later, a bullet, enveloped in a vibrant blue aura, streaks across the firing range, impacting the target with a powerful thud. Oh Yoon-sung watches the result intently, as the target vibrates from the force of the shot. He had initially dismissed the idea of controlling aura outside the body as nonsense, believing that only those with specific psi or tech abilities could manage such a feat, yet the glowing impact on the target suggests otherwise. However, this was no ordinary shot. It was the ranged ki attack developed by Sunguk and inherited by Yoon-sung, a technique that allows him to embed and maintain his aura within the bullet, causing it to detonate with a powerful burst of energy. This unique ability, dubbed a ki parasite, allows him to control the aura even after it leaves his body, as he fires another round, the bullet glowing intensely. The observers, including Cha Jae-gil, Bae Ji-hyun, and Shin Yui, watch with wide eyes, clearly astonished by the display. Director Kim and Chairman Yang Changuk exchange impressed glances, as the others question the nature of the attack, wondering if it was just a normal bullet that somehow exploded. Shin Yui, particularly intrigued, ponders how he could have embedded his aura into the bullet and maintained it, while the damaged target reveals not just an explosion, but multiple precise cuts, as if struck by blades from within. He stands calmly, having just proven his mastery over pure ki and aura management, a feat previously thought impossible without psi or tech abilities. With the demonstration concluded, Cha Jae-gil finds himself in a tight spot, visibly flustered by the undeniable evidence. Director Kim presses him, reminding him of his responsibility to respond to the evidence he himself requested, leaving Cha Jae-gil to stew in his own frustration. Finally, with a strained expression, Cha Jae-gil is forced to acknowledge Oh Yoon-sung's qualification and the defense agency's decision, admitting his doubts were for nothing. As the conference officially concludes, the officials announce a change of location for a meal, while Oh Yoon-sung watches the disgruntled Cha Jae-gil. The grand conference hall empties, its ornate ceiling lights reflecting the quiet aftermath of the tense meeting. Director Kim, observing Cha Jae-gil's lingering frustration, reflects on the situation, realizing the director should have backed down earlier. As the group transitions to the meal, Cha Jae-gil attempts to compose himself, accepting a drink. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts as President Chu Seo-jin arrives, greeted by the other officials, while Cha Jae-gil watches from the background, feeling utterly humiliated by the turn of events. The president of TENS, Chu Seo-jin, offers a polite greeting, his smile unwavering. He is the head of the Korean branch of the megacorporation TENS, an entity whose influence stretches across not only China but all of Eurasia, and China itself is a land of immense opportunity. With its vast territory, diverse monsters, and relaxed hunting regulations, it presents the best stage Asia has to offer. However, despite every foreign hunter's dream of operating there, China's native hunter protection laws make it nearly impossible for outsiders to gain hunting privileges, unless they are contracted under a megacorporate like TENS. Without such a contract, even a visa is out of reach, a policy made possible by China's seemingly endless supply of manpower. Many attempts have been made to breach China's strict policies, but none have succeeded beyond short, temporary dispatches. This special case involves Lee Un-seal, the sister of Lee Jae-hak, who was the only one ever dispatched to China. Her unique privilege stemmed from being accepted as a direct disciple by Jingyan, the rank 3 sword master of Hurricane, one of China's top 10. Though Li Jaehak had a friendly relationship with Jingyan, the decision was further solidified by Li Unseal's mastery of key techniques. Meanwhile, Cha Jae-gil, observing the conversation from a distance, curses inwardly, realizing the president must have witnessed his recent humiliation. The unnamed official, speaking with Chu Seojin, chuckles, asking if he's referring to Oh Yun-sung and acknowledging his exceptional ki. But Chu Seojin dismisses the technique itself, stating his interest lies more in the person, Oh Yun-sung, who only got his license half a year ago. He finds it fantastic that someone could learn such a useless technique so quickly, implying a deeper talent. The official then muses that since the precedent of Li Unseal, a second or third Li Unseal could be made at any time, which is why he must show utmost respect to Chu Seojin. Cha Jae-gil reacts with a shocked, internal what? As the official continues, questioning if it's too harsh to call Oh Yun-sung's technique useless, even if it might seem like child's play from a Chinese perspective, especially when considering the powerful ki it generates. A man in a white hat laughs heartily, finding the situation quite amusing, remarking that he never expected to encounter someone so interesting. He then turns to Chu Seojin, asking if he agrees, and wonders aloud if the person they were discussing, Yeep, had gone to Oh Yun-sung. Meanwhile, Cha Jae-gil sits alone on a park bench, exhaling slowly as he muses over his recent demonstration, wondering if he might have been a bit too flashy. He admits it wasn't perfect, but he did manage to perform it without a single mistake. Despite his success, a slight tremor runs through his hand, revealing that he is still a bit nervous, and he clenches his fist tightly. Suddenly, a pair of legs steps into view, and Cha Jae-gil's head snaps up, sensing someone nearby. He wonders if there's someone else here. His eyes widen in shock as he recognizes the figure, exclaiming in disbelief, "What is this person? When did he?" Before identifying him as Oh Yun-sung. Before he can react, Oh Yun-sung's hand shoots out, gripping Cha Jae-gil's neck with startling speed, and he calmly asks if they should go around, leaving Cha Jae-gil stunned and speechless. Oh Yun-sung finds himself held firmly by a stern-faced man in traditional attire, his long black hair tied back in a queue, who speaks with an urgent tone. He looks back at the man, a question in his eyes, as the man continues his impassioned speech. Struggling to comprehend the foreign tongue, Oh Yun-sung can only guess at the man's words, who then clarifies that he is present for a conference. Suddenly, the man with the queue shouts, his voice booming, accusing Oh Yun-sung of being present. He continues to berate Oh Yun-sung for his disrespectful tone, while a man in a dark suit attempts to intervene, admitting he tried to stop the confrontation but found the man too strong. Meanwhile, a different figure, impeccably dressed, introduces himself as Chu Seojin, the president of Tinjin Group, declaring his intention to discuss something important. The man with the queue wonders aloud how Chu Seojin knew of his presence, prompting the man in the suit to explain that while Chu Seojin is a fine hunter, he lacks tact, having called him an old man. Chu Seojin reiterates his introduction, confirming his identity and purpose for being there. He looks on, a question forming in his mind as Chu Seojin continues to speak. This marks the beginning of auto hunting, Chapter 30, Bond. In the bustling city, the Tinjin Group stands tall, and though it's not widely known, Chu Seojin reveals that his company is the one responsible for Oh Yun-sung's growth. He explains that he completely reorganized his ki, and the spin and shrit technique is one of the results, a skill he only intended to pass down to those he truly trusted. Oh Yun-sung, still processing the revelation, quietly addresses Jae-hik Lee, who stands silently beside Chu Seojin. Chu Seojin then clarifies that his goal is for Oh Yun-sung to become a true leader, and to achieve that, he instructs him to put on his safety equipment. He explains that the equipment will allow Oh Yun-sung to experience the full power of his ki without harm, and that he won't be able to learn the spin and shrit technique without it. As Chu Seojin gestures, demonstrating the technique's potential, he reiterates that Oh Yun-sung won't be able to use any of his skills if he doesn't learn this one. A glowing, ethereal hand appears, showcasing the spin and shrit technique, but despite the impressive display, Oh Yun-sung firmly declines the offer. He had completely reorganized his ki, and the spin and shrit technique was one of the results, a skill he only intended to pass down to those he trusted. Oh Yun-sung, however, remained unconvinced, his expression unyielding as Chu Seojin continued, reminding him that the Tinjin Group had been watching him since his awakening, guiding his path. He questioned how the young man could refuse such an opportunity, especially when his future was so intertwined with their plans. The president's voice hardened, a clear warning in his tone as he declared that the refusal was foolish, and that he would not tolerate such defiance. He reiterated his earlier statement, emphasizing that he had no intention of learning the technique, a firm bang, punctuating his resolve. Chu Seojin's eyes narrowed, a dangerous glint appearing as he asked if the young man truly understood the implications of his words, offering to translate the gravity of the situation. He then launched into a tirade, questioning Oh Yun-sung's arrogance and reminding him of the Tinjin Group's power, asserting that the young man was nothing without their support. Oh Yun-sung simply repeated his refusal, his voice calm but firm, a quiet, he agrees, echoing his unwavering stance. Chu Seojin's face contorted in fury, the memory of past slights flashing through his mind as he roared, demanding to know what the young man had just said. Oh Yun-sung met his gaze, his own eyes glowing with fierce determination, blood dripping from his lip as he stood his ground, unyielding in the face of the president's wrath. He continues to press, asserting that without courage, one cannot be a hunter, let alone a leader. His words cut deep, but Oh Yun-sung, standing firm, apologizes for his defiance, yet makes it clear that he will not back down from such insults. With a sharp intake of breath, Chu Seojin declares the conversation over, his hand moving swiftly to retrieve something unseen, the distinct sounds of equipment being readied echoing in the tense silence. His face contorted in rage, Chu Seojin challenges Oh Yun-sung's audacity to speak back, but the young hunter meets his gaze with unwavering resolve, refusing to yield. As they both assume combat stances, Chu Seojin demands clarification on Oh Yun-sung's defiance, only to be met with the same resolute declaration. He will not back down. Now clad in formidable combat gear, including a distinctive red helmet, Chu Seojin asserts his ultimate victory, his expression grim and determined. He acknowledges the truth of the situation and expresses relief that Oh Yun-sung came alone, implying a greater force at his command, as a line of armored figures stands ready behind him. The verbal volley continues, with Chu Seojin reiterating his unwavering stance, a sentiment echoed by Oh Yun-sung's own firm refusal to yield. Their wills clash once more, as both men repeat their unyielding positions, the tension in the air thick with unspoken threats. One day, Oh Yun-sung will rise to challenge that formidable will. Oh Yun-sung finds himself facing a new opponent, who, with a confident smirk, declares he will permit 3 hits from him. As the opponent reiterates his offer, Oh Yun-sung barely has time to register the words before a blur of motion strikes with incredible speed. The swift blow connects, landing cleanly as the system registers auto-hunting in the background, indicating a new phase or ability.